All right, guys. Hey there, hey there, hey there. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm on a little bit of CP time today. So, pardon me, forgive me. I got to get my YouTube set up so I can see the contents here as we are going. But all those of you who know, please comment your city and state so that we can see where everybody is tuning in from. All right, so I'm gonna get this set up. Got to turn my volume down. Oh, we got Rude Boy in the house. He's missed the last couple episodes. You've been missed, sir. Welcome, welcome. All right, so comment your city and state so we can see where you guys are watching from. I also want to say thank you so much if it's your first time watching. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back for more. I really appreciate that. I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon fans. They are my supporters. The patrons are the reason why the show is available. They support me every single month, and I really, really appreciate that. Let me know if the sound is okay, you guys. I've tried to step it up today and set up my mics and do all this stuff, and so I want to make sure I'm not having any issues. So it looks like so far everything is good to go, but just let me know. You guys will let me know if the sound is not together. All right, so like I said, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It will let you know if a video is coming up. I drop videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I slacked off last week. Please don't judge me. But I go live every Sunday, like tonight, with the live stream broadcast. So it'll let you know that there's a video coming up and you won't miss anything. All right, so we are going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight. The main topic is, why should I get married? We're going to be unpacking that because a lot of people are asking, why the heck should I get married? What is the incentive? Why should I join? But go ahead, take a second, you guys. I'm going to let you subscribe, and then we are going to get started. And I'm going to be introducing two friends tonight. Super excited. We have them here. Hey, ladies. Hey. We have Latera and Lashante. And I was saying, I feel like I should be little Yonci so we could all be tied in. We should all be on the same page. But I'm super excited. We're going to warm the room up a little bit because, you know, we have our girls, well, not even girls chat. We have our video chat every week. And I don't even want to start until you guys are there. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give the good people the energy and we can have fun at the top of the hour. So how is everybody's week going?
Good. Pretty good.
Very nice, very nice. I see you.
A great nap today, so I'm refreshed.
Naps are the best, right?
Jealous. I didn't have a nap.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a house this week, so you know.
That is amazing. I didn't know if you wanted to share, so I was like, let me just let her go there.
Yes.
That is amazing. She had the cutest post, you guys. She had her little boomerang.
So, you know, single, ready to mingle. Somebody pay this mortgage.
Look, she got her life together. I love that. So I want to, before we get started, I hope the guys don't hate us, but I want to talk about the housewives because we have the two that I checked out this past week. We had Potomac and Atlanta, and a lot has happened. And so did you guys, did you see the latest Potomac episode? She said, I'm trying to figure out, what is with this whole choosing sides thing? Like, I see it so often with women where they say, if I'm beefing with somebody, you have to beef too. I get like not overstepping to where you're causing conflict one way or the other. But what do you guys feel about that? And I'm actually going to grab some water really quick. So I'm going to do a little cheat here, put you guys on the camera so I can fill up my little sippy cup, as he says. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think that people should have to pick sides between friends?
I will say, depending on the situation, unfortunately, it might be necessary to pick sides. There are some things that, like, for me, the only time you're going to have me picking a side is if you literally go against something that I've told you I stand for or against, and then your actions create conflict or push me into a space where I'm like, you have made me choose a side because of your actions.
Okay, and what do you think?
I agree. I think that we do it anyway, unconsciously. We always pick a side, just based on our beliefs. But I know when it comes to my friends, I'm like that too. I'm like, okay, so we don't like her. Okay, just so I know that we don't like her.
And I was really that person and be like, oh, so we don't like her.
We don't like you.
But so I'm not gonna lie, there are a few friends I have. If be like, we don't like her. We don't like her.
That's
But
loyalty.
that's the loyalty thing. Like, we have decades in this game. But
Right.
for other situations, it's really, does your action go against what I stand for? And if it does, then I'm picking a side because I need you to understand that you drew a line with me.
Right.
So, but for them heifers in Atlanta, with this Potomac, I'm sorry, for them heifers in Potomac, first of all, that heifer didn't even like that little girl, okay? Giselle ain't even like that little girl. And even in the beginning of the season when they was fake kikiing, she didn't like that little girl. She did not like her.
There's so much shade.
She has not liked
Giselle is
Monique.
the pettiest one on the show.
She has not liked Monique from day one when Monique was like, I got 4 houses.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, I don't like her. Now, here's the thing. I was not a fan of Monique until I found out when her birthday was. And then I was like, damn, I gotta like her.
I feel like there's a lot of pettiness. There's a lot of fake love, and I don't like that. I'm okay if you don't like me. Don't fake that you do like me. Like, you know, when everyone's talking about, like, this is my question. Why does everyone hate on Karen's businesses? Because they were saying that she's not really creating it. But here's my thing. If she's getting the coin and she's the face of it, I don't care if she's in a factory sewing the wigs herself or if she's just getting a check. Like, I don't get the hate.
They've hated her from day one, though. Mm-hmm. She's one of those people, like, in the very first episode or whatever episode she appeared in the beginning. They just didn't like her. They didn't like her husband. They didn't like how she act. Like, and she's unbothered. Like, what I like about her
super unbothered.
She's completely unbothered. She don't care what they say about her husband. She don't care what they say about her businesses. She's like, I'm here and what? Like, I love that about her. Like, Karen gives zero.
Oh my God.
But think about it. How many other brands are there where the person's name or picture is just on it? Like, they do nothing, but they put their name to it and they get a check. Right. So I feel like it's like, if I'm not greatest in greatness, then I got to talk about you.
Okay. I don't disagree. And then I want to have one little kiki about Atlanta, and then I'm going to let folks come in. I know we got people waiting in the waiting room.
Crystal in the comments said Karen is a little messy, though.
Oh, she's super messy.
I don't disagree with you, Crystal.
I think that in the last season, I have seen her elevate a little bit, though. And I think that a lot of the messiness comes out of insecurity because you're overcompensating and you're trying to make yourself look better. And so I do feel like she's a little bit growing into her own because she used to be the one that made me cringe the most. And I don't cringe as much with her. So I think Karen is definitely leveling up. So he said they can barely hear the guests, but they can hear me clearly. So let me figure. I don't know why. Thank you so much for letting me know. Right. I don't know why the audio is not giving me the option for.
I got one.
I don't know why it's not giving me the option for you guys. I have my microphone, but it's not showing me an option for Zoom, which is what we are using for you guys. Let's see. There's usually another option. Sorry, guys, we're so technical. We're talking technical stuff, but I wanted to make sure you guys can hear. Okay, let's see.
Is that better?
Is that any better, guys? I don't see that. Usually it shows me an option for multiple audio sources, and it's not. So, bummer. I'm just going to turn the volume up on you guys, and hopefully that just helps here, picking it up through the mic. So anyway, I want to talk about Atlanta really quick. Candy's daughter does not feel connected to her biological father, and Candy seems like she's tried to be pretty neutral for the most part. What do you guys think as far as the mom's role? Or let's not put a gender on it. If one of the parent is not active, do you feel like the active parent should be really pushing for it, or at some point do you just back off?
Well, for a little backstory with that, Raleigh's dad was married when Candy was with him and got pregnant for him. So that has a lot to do with why he doesn't have a relationship with Raleigh, because he had a whole wife.
That could be a conflict of interest.
And Candy, she acts like her consistent, story is that she didn't know he was married, and she sticks with that, and she's been sticking with that for a very, very long time. I've heard conflict, because I'm from Georgia, I'm from the area, so I've heard some conflicting things saying that she did know the man was married. But whatever the case may be, I know why the relationship has always been strained, because I think for the most of her life he was married. I don't think he's married now, but I think like for probably a solid 10, 15 years of her life he was married.
Let's be
Okay.
clear. That woman had the husband. That man clearly said he had no wife because he was out here doing other things. I'm just saying. That's just what I'm
Oh no,
saying.
I completely agree with you. But when you have babies like that in those situations, those
Yeah.
women, if they stay with those men are not able to be good parents to those children, because that
Yeah.
woman basically draws the line in the sand and say, choose you this day. You gonna be with me, or you gonna be,
Yeah.
you gonna be a daddy to this illegitimate baby that you had out here. I've never seen it where that works out well for anybody involved. Like,
I heard that.
Yeah.
I
That
heard.
sounds bad.
Well, let's let them in, guys. Let's let them in the room. Let's see who's here. I know I saw Jerome on the waiting in the waiting room. Who we got in there?
We had Jerome and we had Antoine, but he left us. I guess he didn't feel like waiting.
Oh, Antoine said.
He's right back.
Antoine said, "I will not." He said, "I'm gonna be."
Y'all have me out here waiting like no stepchild.
No, he was like, "I'm off screen by intention. I am not off screen by default." Hey, Jerome. Hey, darling.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing,
Hey,
sir?
how are you? I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Good to see you, ladies.
That is awesome.
Good to see you too.
By the way,
What-
if you want to,
what's in the cup?
This is my bougie cocktail. It consists of Prosecco, a splash of Tito's vodka,
Jerome Brown.
a splash of cranberry juice, and I
Okay.
have frozen pineapple.
Okay. Yeah, that's bushy.
Cool.
As long as you know it's bushy, it's all good.
It's bougie as hell.
she likes what she likes.
I like what I like, and I'm very
I'm not mad at
specific
you.
about it.
Not mad at you.
I love it. I love it.
Good evening, ladies. It's so good to be with you.
Yay! I'm so glad you're here. So we threw everybody off because I had engaged the waiting room this evening for a little while where we had girl talk, and so I think some of the people were thrown off, like, whoa, why are we in the waiting room?
No, but a message came up twice, so why they tripping?
Oh, okay.
That's why I said I feel like he didn't want to wait because I sent the message saying, "Hey, we're having a little chat. We'll let y'all in soon."
Got
Right,
you.
that's right. Yeah.
Now, by the way, is the waiting room turned off at this point? I gotta learn this stuff because I thought I could control it from here, but apparently I can't. So if you can do it, that would be awesome. You guys, shout out to my team for helping helping out. Like, look, everybody at the beginning, I always say, if you start at the bottom, people can really root for you when you get to the top. So when I have everything worked out and I have my whole team, they could be like, remember back when she used to try to deal with the control panel live on camera? And we'll laugh about it then. All right.
We're going to talk about it for real.
For real.
Yonci will tell you. I said something to her.
You need to get the fellas to join because Anthony said the level of estrogen in the room is going to be a long night.
That is hilarious. He's talking about the microphone. He said the quality of mics. It sounds like the quality of mics that are being used. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that you can hear. He said, okay, a sprinkle of testosterone. He got excited that you came in. All right, so I'm going to jump right into the pop question of the day. Okay, guys, either or. Okay, what would you choose? And I'm going to start with LaShante, then go to Jerome, and then LaTara. Okay, if you had the choice between giving a 3-day work week, like for the rest of your working life, you only work 3 days, or double your salary and continue to work 5 days. We're just saying that, let's say you work Monday through Friday. In this scenario, what would you choose and go?
Salary. Double my salary.
Oh, okay. Jerome?
I would take the 3 days. Because there's so much I could do with that. You mean like making what I make, right? I'm good, right? So 3 days making that?
I would actually pick the same thing. I skipped myself, but I would, because my free time is everything to me. I don't want the coins and then no time to do anything with it. So that's me. And by the way, you're still getting your same salary. So you're getting your same salary at 3 days versus double salary, but you working your 5 days. Okay, and
3
Latera?
days. Easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the 3 days because that's less stress, less having to deal with those folk. Listen,
I heard that.
3 days, and here go the 3 days. And matter of fact, I'm gonna put a stipulation on the 3 days. You got me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's it.
That's hot. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Long weekends for real.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yes. I'm with you.
Because I can travel Thursday night to Monday afternoon, be fresh and ready for Tuesday morning. I'm good.
All right, so this next question was in the group and it went back and forth, and I just think it's really interesting because it's hard to kind of put into words in my opinion. What is the difference between dating someone exclusively and being in a relationship other than the title? Go. What is the difference? Because that's what
Yeah, my comment was that it was just a time thing. I think that, people usually decide to date exclusively like early on, and then, as the time goes on, they're like, okay, well, now we're in a relationship. But I didn't think it was a huge difference between the two until I read the comment.
That part.
Comments will have you thinking.
This is why the dating pool has pee in it. Like,
Man.
I'm so over it. I'm like, they changing the rules anytime they get ready. Like, no, that's not what that means. I'm like, I hate it here.
Because I was thinking about it, and I was like, honestly, it really is a title, because if you think about it, you've made the decision to not see other people. That's usually what you have in a relationship.
And that's huge.
Right. That is huge. And I don't know why it's frozen on my screen. Hopefully it's not frozen on you guys' screen. But usually you have just the title. Oh, my entire computer system is frozen. That's always fun. We're just going to have the saints pray over my computer. Okay. But yeah, so I just feel like it's a title thing, because you end it the same way too. You say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And if you're in a relationship with someone, you say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's literally no. Tell me, Latera, what do you?
I think it's a levels thing, because, I agree with Lashante when she says dating exclusively is like, so if I meet, I'm going to make up somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I meet, I'm trying to think of somebody that's really cute that's single. Who's cute that's single right now? That's an actor.
Shamar Moore.
Okay, I could do Shamar Moore. I'm not going to lie. Even though he older than me by like 20 years.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, no, I don't think he's cute, so no, ma'am.
How you really feel? We love you, Michael.
You're about to give me whiplash over here.
So, say Shamar Moore, right? Say him, hey, and I'm mad. We go out a few times, and we're like, oh, I really like this person, and I want to get to know this person. And we could be the type of people that are not ones to date multiple people, right? Because some people just cannot or will not do that. So we have the conversation like, hey, I want to date you exclusively. However, we're not sure if we are compatible in terms of a relationship. So dating exclusively means we're just agreeing to eliminate other distractions so that we can determine if we're compatible.
Right.
So that's what it is to me. And then if we realize that we're compatible, we have the chemistry, et cetera, then we, decide mutually that this is a relationship, and our relationship is being set up to grow to other things, i.e. marriage.
Right.
Or
and I agree with you, but I just feel like the actions are the exact same. So I agree that the only difference is that there's a marker of time. So at this point, we're just talking exclusively at this point with the title. But as far as the actions, I don't think there's anything different in the actions. What were you going to say, Jerome?
I'm old school, right? So I know old school, we would ask the woman to be our girl. It was never the exclusive thing. Will you be my girl? Yes. And I just think with that, there was the assumption or agreement that this was exclusive. So that's why, for me, as an old school cat, I see it as one and the same. If we're having that conversation about being in a relationship, or me saying that you're my girl, I just see it the same way.
But think about communication. Unfortunately, that's kind of flawed communication, because have we had the conversation to understand boundaries? Have we had the conversation to understand what we think a relationship looks like? Just saying, would you be my girl? And then me being your girl, and we don't agree on what a relationship is, that's conflict, right? Unnecessarily, when we could have taken the time to talk about it, to say what it is. And I'm not saying would you be my girl is a problem, but that should also come with the conversation of what does a relationship look like for us.
Okay, I respect it, but again, I'm old school. We knew what that meant.
Get the notes to say, like me, yes, no, or maybe.
Just humble me says I was.
There's a lot more conversation that's had than what I'm used to as like we wouldn't have all of these different conversations. Like it was just like understood and it was said like we go together.
We go together. We go together. Just humble me. Clark says I was married for 19 years. I'm so lost with all these terms. He said, I have a girl I'm interested in, but her child is 5. My kids are in college. She thinks I need to get her a ring. And look, you're just getting to know.
I think all questions are appropriate because at the end of the day, if we are going to share space and energy, I need to know what I'm sharing space and energy with. And so if that is a concern for me, I should be able to ask you that, right? And vice versa. You should be able to ask me these things. And then there's always things where you can say, hey, this is off limits for now, or these are things that I actually don't like to discuss. And people can make decisions. I think the thing is the communication allows you to make decisions because you know where you stand with the person when they tell you. You know what I'm saying?
So what if, let's say, for example, let's say you had, let's just say you had a friend with benefits, okay? And it was a long, cold, lonely night.
Single. I just need, wait, let me put this announcement out there. I'm single and ready to mingle.
Single.
Put that out there.
So let's just say that there was a friend with a benefit. It was a long, cozy, cold night, and you guys got cozy, smashed. But you both knew what it was. It was just sex, okay? And let's say the very next day you go to some event, you go to your sister's wedding, and you meet this amazing guy. And he's like, so when's the last time you had sex? You don't think that would be awkward to be like, yeah, it was last night.
I mean, that would be awkward. That would be awkward because I literally just met you. But if we're going out a couple of times and that is a conversation, I'm going to answer it. Listen, what you see is what you get. Y'all have talked to me for months now. Y'all know I have been pretty much the same person. Unless I'm tired, then I'll be like, but I am just me. So,
Team honesty.
What you said, Shante. 100 all the time. So what you see is what you get. So here's the thing: if you ask me that question, I'm even gonna be like, I ain't answering that shit. Why you need to know?
So let me
I'll be like, last week, let me tell you.
Come at this from a man's perspective, right? First of all, 99.9% of men don't want to know the number for a woman.
Of course, I'm never gonna tell that.
Right, that's number one. Number two, 99.9% of men, if you ask them their number, we are going to lie.
Correct. Yeah. Whatever number they give you, you divide it by 3.
Multiple 3 and division.
Multiple.
The multiple and the division.
That's just being honest. And it's because we don't want to be seen as a hoe.
Right.
And that we just
but I don't think anybody wants to know. I think you said that 99% of men. I don't think women want to know.
Yeah, I don't want to know you smashed someone last night.
I never asked that question. I do not want to know. That is not something, and I don't pretend. I'm not kicking around. Like, that's none of my business. Like, it's seriously none of my business. I'll ask you if you STD free, and we gonna just keep it moving.
Look. You're a virgin? Got it.
Ooh. Yeah, like have you been tested? Those are the questions.
Let me see them. No, not have you been tested. Let me see them results and how.
Look.
Yeah, like that's all I'm concerned about with at this point.
Yeah.
Because I'm older. Like I don't want to know how many men a 40-something-year-old man has been with in his lifetime. Like that is not. We talking big numbers at this point.
Do you want to know if you come across that person? That one of the smashies. So let's just say you get invited to a dinner and he looks over and he sees, oh snap, there was some random chick that I hooked up with, 2 years ago. Do you want to know if she's in the room?
Not really. Only time I want to know somebody in the room is if you know.
Yeah, I would want to know if they were in a relationship with that person.
Right. If it's potential for me to be blindsided by some information, I need to know. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to fight. If somebody blindsides me with some shit, I'm probably going to break the fight. But if you tell me like, hey, we going to this event, my ex will potentially be there, then I can prepare myself. Because sometimes exes are cool and they be like, you know, it's no beef. But then sometimes, legit, they might be ready to come at you with some stuff, and I need to be prepared to stand, you know, to be ready for whatever's about to come at me.
Right.
But yeah, I don't really care if you slept with somebody in the room. I don't, because that was before me.
I don't want to be the only person who doesn't know. So I don't want to be there and all your boys know that that's the girl you smashed, and like everybody else knows except me, and they're kind of looking at me like, oh, does Yonci know that? I don't want to be I don't want to have the least amount of information. So that's kind of how
I don't want to know.
I don't care.
Don't want to know.
Yeah, no,
it's just like Latera said, I'm always on go. I'm always ready. So you say something slick to me, it's going to be something slick back, and you're not going to like it. And you just
correct.
So my thought is, if I'm handling my business, it doesn't matter who's in the room. Because I'm handling my business right here, right now. So let's go back on
Oh, you were red. He loves red.
You don't have to know everything.
Correct.
No. Y'all need to stop with that.
No, Jerome, we're going to clear this up. Don't say no y'all. Say Yonci. Go to Yonci, because me and Lashante said we don't need to know nothing.
Less is more,
Yonci.
They did.
She did.
That's what
But he don't need to know everything about me either.
Correct.
Look, as long as it goes both ways. All right.
I said clearly, like, my wife has asked me, and I'm like, ain't none of your business.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not anything bad.
It's really
like,
not.
It's just
none of your business.
Well, why? How did you get to doing so? I just did it. You don't need to know the details. Just know it was done.
Correct.
I'm all the way with that. Like, that's a grown ass man answer. That answer was grown as hell.
It sure was.
Like, I got it done.
Like, I feel like he said it from his chest.
Yeah, he did. Like, you don't need to know how the sausage was made. Eat this damn link and shut
made.
And enjoy it.
I support you, bro. I support you.
Shut down.
Eat it and enjoy it.
That's grown man business. I'm with that. I'm all for it. I'm like, thank you, baby. This sausage is so good.
Can I have another? Can I please have another?
So I say they judging your wine on the headboard, sis.
They coming for her? Wine on the headboard?
It's easily accessible back here. If I put it all the way over there, I gotta reach for it.
If you
don't judge me.
If you would like to get her a nightstand. You would like to get her
your mammy. This is close.
All right, you got
this drink close.
So this was posted.
I do have I got a side table right here, but I don't want to reach over there.
We need her on the screen at all times, okay? She looked too cute to be.
He was saying it in support, not in judgment.
He was letting her know it was there in case she forgot it was there. That's what that was.
I know. I can see it. I can see it.
I know you see it.
I love it.
Oh my God. All right, so somebody posted this, and my emoji was. So let me know if this is true or false. The statement, not Yonci's statement. This is the statement. Men date to find love. You ready for it? Women date to find help. True or false? Look, the side eye. Lashante gave the. You tried it side eye.
Thank you, because I just had somebody seeking help in my DM yesterday. He is a whole prisoner.
Not seeking help.
No, please don't be on Love After Lockup, child. No, I don't want to see you on it.
She said, I have someone seeking help in my DM.
We're from the same hometown, and he's like, what brings you to Richmond, Virginia? Because on his profile it says that he lives here. And he was like, well, you know, they forcing me to live there. Who, baby?
She said, who?
I'm going to be in a halfway house.
Oh, bless his little heart.
No, Lashante,
so you still in the prison? You still in the prison?
No, baby, because I don't want to see you on Love After Lockup. Because if I see you on Love After Lockup, I'm going to judge you, sis. I am.
Yeah, listen, nothing about me screams that I'm about to be.
You never know where you could find love.
And I'm not judging you. I know some good. Listen, I know some good. I got some relatives that came out of there. They done did 10, 15, 20 years in, and they came out and flipped it like a whole cake. Like they own their own businesses. They rocking it out. Now, if you in that stage of after prison, yeah, come holler at your girl. But
not while we still are in the jumpsuit.
You're not even free yet. What exactly would you like?
Your schedule ain't even free. Like, come on.
Yeah, like I can't holler at you right now. He said April. He'll be here in April.
That's funny.
Girl, he putting that love on layaway. You gotta build that foundation, girl. You gotta.
Like, I didn't even know you before you went in. Like, he's somebody from my hometown, and he's a lot younger than me, so I don't really know him.
Is he like prisoner fine? Like that? The stand? What is it? Pinup prisoner type? Like, is he real hot? Like, is he at least?
No, he is not Prison Bae.
I don't think Prison Bae was cute either, but I digress.
Wow.
So no, Michael, no Prison Bae.
Michael B. Jordan is not cute to me. Like, when do y'all see him?
We're not even gonna discuss.
Okay, we'll talk later, girl. We'll talk offline, child.
I don't think he's unattractive. I don't think he's unattractive, but he's not my type.
He's unattractive.
He's not my type.
You didn't think he was fine as Killmonger?
No, he annoyed the hell out of me. I was like, is this old?
I thought he was not unattractive, but he wasn't my type. His body was very respectful. I respected that a whole lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him in Creed and Creed 2.
I can respect the body, but it's just, I don't get the energy of fine. You know, he just don't give me that fine energy.
His jawline kind of does something. Like, I kind of want to, like, do some, like, maybe, never mind. I don't want to put this in the universe. Yeah.
We're going to talk about
let's
that
just
later.
say.
But let's get back to the question.
Let's get back to the question. Thank you, Jerome.
Yeah. I don't think that, I definitely don't think women date to find help.
Maybe in 1950.
I do believe maybe, and again, being old school, maybe 20, 25 years ago, there may have been that.
Right.
I just think women, and you got to understand, I was raised by a woman. I have an amazing wife. I have a beautiful, amazing daughter. Y'all are handling your business on your own. So, like, when I put into the group, is it a want or a need? Most women were like, it's a want. I don't need a man. And I think that's where we are nowadays. Women are crushing it. So I think more than anything, I don't agree with that. Most men, I think there's a small section of men that are not out here dating for love. They're out here dating to smash. Seriously. But there is a good percentage of men that really, like, I even look at my own son. He's 34, and he just said to me, Dad, I'm ready to get married and have some kids. He lives in Japan. He's a good-looking young man. He's got it going on. And I'm like, son, you are going to have no problems. And what he did was he traveled the world, and then he got to a point where he's like, now I'm ready. So I don't think that dude ain't going to have no problems whatsoever. So I do think that that's not a true statement, honestly.
Okay.
Black women out here, we leading in these numbers. We killing it right now. We leading in the corporate.
Smashing it, like serious.
We leading and starting new businesses. I just need for these folks to put some respect on our name. Like, don't come for me with all of this foolishness that y'all dealing with. This chick from the ghetto, that is not who we are as a, experience. Like, I need you to grab a hold of this whole Black woman experience, this magic that is happening. This Kamala in the White House, baby.
Come on now. Pull
it down.
I think it's almost to the other extreme where it's like some women are struggling to even feel the need for a man because they have everything taken care of and they've had such negative experiences where it's like, do I really want to add a man to this mix? So I actually think it kind of is going the other way around. However, which I'm going to get into later, I am a huge advocate of, coming together because for financial reasons, it is quite a good decision to do. You get the tax write-offs and all those other things. So, okay, so we...
Yonci, if I could just add to that, you know, also, and I have a lot of female friends that come to me asking me advice about relationships. And the one thing that they say, because they are successful women, they own homes, great jobs, that men are intimidated by that as well. And my thing with that, and I do know that most men want to be in a position that they rescue, right? But my thing about that, and that's real. Anybody that tells you that's not real is fooling themselves. But my thing is, if that person is intimidated by you, that person's just not for you, because that person is measuring themselves against you. You should not be measuring yourself against your partner.
Right.
Because I look at it as a relationship as a rope, right? There's the world on one side, and there's you, your partner, and God on the other side, right? And it's very difficult to be able to hold that rope to your side. The minute that one of you decide to slide over to the other side because you're in competition with the other,
right,
that rope is going to snap in the middle.
Yeah.
So I do not subscribe to that in any way, shape, or form. No.
I think that makes sense. And I also was going to say that regarding the roles, I think there's some subconscious things. I was going to get into this later, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit now. But Kevin Samuels was saying how we have gotten away a lot from the feminine, lane, femininity and masculinity, in the sense that there are certain biological things built in. And like when you were saying the man likes to rescue, I might flip that and say a man is kind of innately wired to be a provider. So he is going to feel inadequate if his main role he's not doing. And so, it's a matter of semantics, but I think you might be onto something. The same thing with a woman. Like, a lot of women struggle if they're not able to produce children, because biologically that's what we are designed to do. And even though it says nothing about her as a person, doesn't mean she's less than. She feels like, man, I can't give this to my man. So I think that's something, we can definitely unpack, but I do think there's something to what you are saying for sure.
And in some cultures, it is, they make the women out to be less than a woman when they cannot produce.
Wow. That's horrible.
So yeah, and I have a dear friend who's struggling with that, in that her family is, what's going on? You're at a certain age. How come you? Yeah, it's a cultural thing. Yeah. So that's big.
That's tough. Now, speaking of getting advice, what do you guys think about getting marital advice from someone who's single? And I'm going to put the caveat that single person could be a divorcee. So they could have had, years of experience with marriage, but they are single now. Do you discredit what they say because of their status of not being married? What is your thought?
I don't think you should do that. I think people understand dynamic and relationship. They may not understand your specific marital issues, but if you understand relationship, you can give somebody advice. And I'm not to say that the advice is all, because really what advice is, hey, I'm giving you some suggestions and some recommendations. You take what works and you throw the rest away. And so for me, I have not been married, but I was in a very serious long-term relationship, like that had a lot of the bells and whistles. And when I had a friend who experienced something similar, they were just actually legally married. When I gave them advice to, hey, like, step back, don't jump to making decisions, take some time for you to understand, can you live without this person? Because if you can, you done made your decision.
Yeah.
They came back, so they stayed, and then they came back to me and was like, that was the best advice I got out of everyone.
Yeah.
And I've never been married, so I don't think you have to be married to give someone strong advice.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I'll agree with that, but I will say this for me personally. When it comes to talking about my relationship, and I very rarely do talk about it, but when I do, I never seek the advice or guidance unless that person is married. I'm intentional about that. And I also, this is one thing I'm also very mindful of doing, because, you know, in my first marriage, it was getting together with the fellas and complaining about marriage, right? I'm very intentional about the mindset of, to hell with complaining. I'm in the best place in the world that I want to be. So if I'm in a group of men and we're talking about marriage and they're complaining, I'm stepping away from it because I got not a damn thing to complain about. And if I'm going to complain, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Real. And I'll never forget my wife and I. So every anniversary, we do what we call an anniversary crawl. So we were at, one year for our anniversary, we were at a restaurant and there was a couple next to us that was also celebrating their anniversary. The husband was making jokes about his wife that was totally, me and my wife were mortified. It was terrible. I felt, you could see his wife just like shrink. I felt bad for her. And I'll never forget my wife and I leaving there and us both saying to each other, we are never going to ever be that. And that's real. Never. Yeah. And my wife will tell you, no jokes, no joking around. I don't play that. Nope. I'm where I want to be and I'm happy.
I feel like there's always some truth in the little haha. Like you said a whole truth and then threw a little haha on the end of it. And I'm like, it's not,
It was so uncomfortable. Oh man, I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
And you know, she kept saying, stop. We kept saying, is he trying out his comedy routine on us? Because he just kept going the entire dinner for both of us. I felt so bad for her.
You're really the Southwest ding, want to get away.
Yeah.
But she knew what she married too.
Yeah.
And that's
my dad told me when I got married, he said, if you keep people out of your business, you might make it.
And it's so true.
Yeah, he said that includes me. And I think the analogy that hits home for me is that, you know, you tell your family how horrible your spouse is or your mate is, and then, you know, you forgive him and y'all are good. And then next weekend we go to the cookout and everybody's still mad.
It's
that was my first marriage.
I think that it's so important.
Giving him the side eye. So
yes.
I think it's so important to have a therapist. I had somebody say that it was crazy, like it was a sign for, you know, a bad relationship to want a therapist. But honestly, any relationship I'm in, I want to have one from the beginning. So I have this whole theory. And my theory is this for the perfect relationship, is to have no negativity throughout the entire week, and then have your week, like, well, let's just say you put on the weekend, your one time a week where it's like your check-in, okay? And so I might be more clinical than the next person, but here's my theory. A lot of times the things that we want to speak to quickly are not really that big of a deal at the end of the day. So if during the week you kind of jot down, everyone has notes in their phone or whatever, you jot down the little things that irk you during the week, and then when it's time for your little weekly check-in, half that stuff you probably realize it's not even worth saying, or you learn something later in the week that you're like, I'm so glad I didn't nitpick about that. But then there actually might be things that you really do want to talk about. But then if you're talking about it so far removed, you've taken away a lot of the emotion from the situation, and you're able to say, you know what? Because sometimes you can't even figure out why you're so angry. And then you could say, you know what? When this happened on Tuesday, it really bothered me because da 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 da. And then the person can talk about it. And I think the other beautiful thing is that it doesn't let you feel like you're always nitpicking or you're always getting, you know, pulled apart. And if you put like an end and a beginning on it, you know, okay, for just this hour, it's going to be tough, but we're going to get through it and then move on. I think that if people did that, plus had a therapist, there would be more successful relationships, because I think a lot of times tensions are building and building and building because there's no resolve, or you're just saying everything. But a therapist is kind of like your neutral third party who can say, no, I think you're wrong on this. And I think you do need to hear that from another person's perspective, because most people swear up and down they're right. And if I ask my friends, they'd all agree. You know, it's like, I think you need that.
You know, I want to say a couple of things, right? The last thing, when we worry in a relationship about being right, then we're worried about the wrong thing. That's number one. All right. I do not want to be right. Period. If my wife says I did something, and some of the time I'll come back at her, but then she'll check me again. I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't want to be right. That's number one. Number two, right? I think if you speak to most people that have, and there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, okay? That people that have long-lasting, amazing relationship, they will tell you they're not in that relationship alone. They're surrounded by other couples that they can pull examples from, right? And I thank God that that's something my wife and I have. We have examples of other married couples that we are close to that we get to learn from. Even bad relationships you could learn from, because
what not to do.
I know some of the time I sit there and I'm like, I ain't doing that. Like, seriously. And also, in seeing that, you might have a level more of appreciation for what it is that you have in your spouse by seeing that other relationship. So to me, in order to have a successful marriage, it's not a marriage where it's just the two of you and God. It's also being surrounded by other relationships, other marriages that you see, and pulling the best from those, right? But I want to be clear. To me, I don't think there's such a thing as perfect, right? We have this thing, this imagination, this fantasy of marriage being all fun and games and horseback.
Right.
Get out of here! Like, no, that's not it. It's very hard work, and that's why one of the things I say to all people: if you are a punk, don't come into this.
So,
it's
Jerome,
not for the weak.
I want to ask you this. So I had this conversation today with a very dear friend of mine, and I don't hide the fact that I'm a believer. I believe in God, and I try to live my life according to the word as much as possible. And I'm on this journey where I am trying to be less full of self. I'm going to be more selfless, have more attributes, of God and the Holy Spirit, right? And so a lot of them is forgiveness, patience, peace, meekness, and all that. And when you're talking about not being right, that's that meekness. Even though you know something, you don't have to, I know this, I'm going to call you out, whatever. So I had this theory where I said, okay, I know that relationships aren't perfect. And I know that if you're in a relationship with another human, you're going to deal with human nature. And human nature is messed up. Where do you draw the line between what we would call a toxic relationship and a normal person with issues? Because I have had relationships with somebody who there was so much that was dope about them, but they had an ego problem, or they had a self-centered problem, or they had a hypocrisy problem. They could never see when they were doing the exact thing they were crucifying the other person for. Or what's another one? Like a control freak. How do you decide between what's considered a toxic person that is beyond repair, so to say, I say that, with quotation marks,
right,
and just a relationship? Because
there's obviously the abuser, maybe verbal or physical.
Okay, yes, I agree with that.
All right. There's the control freak that wants to control, and I'm getting to the list of my ex-wife, actually, the control freak, to the point where we go to the restaurant. Why don't you order? Because that's not what I want. So there's the control freak.
Okay.
Then there is the...
She wanted to tell you what to eat.
What to eat, yeah.
I've seen that before.
Why don't you order it? No, you order it. So there's also one of the things that I've come to learn in being now out of my first marriage, that person that will never admit that they are sorry.
Yeah.
That, like, I'll say I'm sorry when really I'm not. Right?
You're sorry for the situation.
It's I'm happy house, happy spouse, right? But when you are and I think you hit it on the head with the narcissistic person, right? You can see it. You and some of the time it gets covered under certain things, but who they are and their vibe, it's just like, and who's gonna mesh with you.
Okay.
Like,
You're agreeing with my friend. My friend was like, yo, if you see control freak, narcissism, or there was something else, because I always would just say pride and self-centeredness. Those are my deal breakers. But now I'm adding to the list narcissism and control freak.
Yeah, like that's real. I mean, and like judgmental as well, where that person is judging other people, but they don't even realize, like, yo, gee, that's what you doing. Like, for real.
That's the hypocrisy part. And you know what's so crazy? Those people, and I'll tell myself, Yonci 1.0 was that. My ex-husband would be like, yo, but I had blinders on. But when we do that, it's the extreme. It's not like, oh, that bothers me. It's you're the worst person in life when when you do it. Yeah. And then when they do it, it's chill out. You're being too, too sensitive. It's the exact same offense, but like 10 times worse.
Like you get
when my first marriage ended,
Jerome telling all the tea.
I was the worst human being on the planet. Like, it took me like 2 years to just like fix me, because I was like, yo, she made me feel like I was garbage. But yet, especially now, looking at where she is now, it wasn't me. It was her. And I'm not going to say it was all her. I played a big part of it, but I would go and do the work. I would be at the therapist and being real in the therapist. And being real about my stuff, where she would just be in there just like shedding tears, and I'd be like, you don't do that at the crib.
Or wait a minute, or the whole tattling. What I don't like in therapy is we're in here to work, and it sounds like the person's trying to get the therapist on their side. Like, and did you know what she did? And do you know what he did? And oh man, you should see. It's like
that's a lot of the times why it doesn't work.
Yes, because you're not. It's clear that you're trying to make sure you leave the therapy room looking good, as opposed to leaving with a better relationship. And
let's work on us.
But I think people need to understand that they should work on them individually as well.
Yes,
you're still a person. Like I think my parents taught me this so well. Even though my parents have been together for 3 million decades, like child, Lord, and I laugh sometimes because I'm like, y'all still friends? And they be like, no.
Yeah.
But they're still so individually themselves. And it shows like, this is me. This is me.
Yes.
And then, we together, but I'm me. And so I think people need to understand that you need to acknowledge all your broken pieces. Yes. And even if you can't fix them, if you're able to acknowledge them and know how to control yourself when those broken pieces kind of show.
Yes.
You'll be better off. And I think a lot of people aren't there.
I agree 100%.
Ready to fix their broken pieces. And so instead of fixing your broken pieces, you project on the other person. And then you get nowhere. Because, I mean, it won't work.
It will not work.
I agree.
I'll never forget my ex-wife we were sitting on the couch watching TV. The kids were gone. And she was like, you know what? I don't like you. And I was like, I don't like you either. Like, for real.
But that's real. I know a lot of married people who don't like each other. No, that's some real.
Like,
real
everything about them irks you. Like, oh, look at her earlobe.
Yes.
Oh.
Breathing out. Why are you breathing?
You breathing in and out.
All of a sudden.
Breathe through your nose.
Something.
Right. So I knew when that happened, that was the end. Right there. Just that, me being able to also release that, because I love easily. I love very easily. I like it's hard.
I'm sorry, Jerome. This comment we just both saw at the same time.
I'm sorry. Why I can't see the comment?
It's on YouTube. It's on. Just Humble Me said the chick has a very beautiful smile and a headboard is very sturdy. I'm just.
What did he look like? Test it out.
If only YouTube had profile pictures. I'm just saying, look.
Because I'm like, why am I not where I need to be to see the comments? My headboard is 30. You want to come check it out?
That wine is not wobbling, not one bit. Look, so
not at all.
I was listening to a podcast episode by Rebekah Lynn Pope, and she said the same thing. She said and she's on her second marriage. And she's married to Carrie Pope. And she said he has his own therapist. She has her own therapist. And then together they have a therapist. And I think that is the dopest thing. Because you're always going to have blind spots. And I think you're always going to be growing as a person. And I think, like you said, Latera, that it's important to each of you get yourself together. And I think in a healthy relationship, you can help your partner. I have had people see blind spots in me. I think I had like 3 guys I was dating back to back tell me the same thing. And I'm like, I'd be a fool to not look into this.
To not listen.
If I had 3 completely separate guys say, you might want to look into that. That behooves me to look into it. And so I think a lot of times, you know, people need to put their pride aside. And instead of being so defensive, understand there really are people out there who genuinely want you to get better. I know I've been pissed because I have met some fine men who have their stuff together financially, their house is in order, but they have like a debilitating issue, you know, whether it's the ego or like I had a guy who was just, he was such a control freak that he could literally ask you for something. And if you gave it to him, he needed it to still control like how you gave it to him. Like, but I'm giving you what you, like, it was horrible. Or if you conceded, it was like, well, I didn't like the fact you conceded because now you're kind of control. It's like, oh my God. But you would be so amazing if you could just get over yourself. You know,
and those people make you feel like there's no winning with them.
Literally,
I believe more in individual therapy than I do in couples therapy, just for the reasons that you guys stated about people putting on airs when it comes to couples therapy and nobody really being honest or trying to win and get the person on their side. I feel like everybody should have individual therapy, and then when you're working on yourself individually, then when you come together, it seems like it's easier and there's more peace in the situation because now you're being humble with somebody and you're being completely transparent with that person.
Right.
And now you're understanding your ish and then you come back, because then when it comes to couple therapy, it's just about the blame game and like, because everybody I know that like has gone through rounds and sessions of couples therapy has said that it's been horrible and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anybody who just had like complete success with couples therapy. So I think that the individual therapy holds more weight than the couples therapy.
By the way, I got the picture for Justin Clark. He's on my page. He's on my Patreon page, so I will do research for
Justin,
you.
Justin, the guy that was talking about the headboard.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
All right, Justin.
So look,
take your shot, homie. Take your shot.
Yeah, but I'm agreeing because I know, like Yonci, with me, like one thing that I kept hearing was you're very dismissive. Like I'm very dismissive, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Look, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. And
the
so
irony,
like,
the irony. I'm sorry, we need to pause on that irony though.
But listen, like so, like a couple of dudes said it, and then one of my good girlfriends said, "No, sweetie, you are very dismissive," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." She was like, listen to me. And so after like the 4th person told me, I was like, all right, let me really look at my reactions to things to see if I am actually dismissive. And when I tell you that switch went off, and I was like, oh shit. Oh shoot. Like, and I felt so horrible because I'm like, all this time I'm being told I'm dismissive. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
You're dismissing the dismissive objection.
Right. And I'm really like,
you're dismissing them telling you that
you're dismissive.
And like it was like when the light bulb went off, I was like, okay, so really now I like when somebody says something to me, my first reaction is to be like, oh, whatever. But I really will. You'll get the
processing.
So
now.
that I'm not like, whatever. Yeah. Because I have realized that I can be very, and it's not even intentional.
Right.
You know, but I can understand how that can be a flaw.
You know why I think it is for you? I think because a lot of things aren't a big deal for you. And people who are very easygoing and things aren't a big deal, it's easy for you to want everyone else to be that way. Like, come on, it's not a big deal. For someone, it is a big deal. That is the biggest trigger. Like, do not tell me it is not a big deal.
Funny enough, I never say it's not a big deal. I do not like using that word.
That's like telling somebody to
calm down.
Because listen, you tell me to calm down, you want all of that. So, here's the thing. So what made it funny to me is like you said,
thought I was the only one.
Telling me to calm down is being dismissive, right? So me being a dismissive person, but getting mad that somebody's being dismissive to me is like, oh wow. Like,
but usually we're offended by the things that offend us. That's the part that's so crazy. And I did a post about that. I'm like, why is it that we are so beyond triggered about the things that someone else? And this guy said something really deep. I don't know if it's real, but he said your eyes are, what did he say? There's like a mirror in the back of your eye. I don't know the technical term. And it's actually a reflection coming back at what you're seeing or something. But he likened it to our perspective in life. We see things that are bounced back. So the thing that we need to work on, he said, it's almost like life's way of going, here's your checklist. And that was kind of creepy because I was like, if I literally take my top pet peeves, that means that's my issues. I was like, oh my God. And the other thing that I think is so interesting is that I find in relationships that when somebody tells me something I need to work on, I almost always end up dating that guy next. So I had I told you people who told me a couple times in a row that I had something to work on. So I'm gonna tell myself. They said I needed to chill out. They were like, you need to chill out, and not everything needs to be an argument or an issue. And I was thinking, but it is an issue. Like, this is an issue for me, so I need to speak on it. And then I dated someone who had an issue with everything. And I was like, I literally was like, was that me?
Yes.
Why did you call me? Well, why did you call me this? Well, okay, then I go out. Well, why did you do? It's like, oh my God. And it just feels like they expect you to read their brain. And then you think, is there nothing that you can let slide? Is there nothing that you go, you know what? Let's not ruin the moment. Let's just enjoy it. And I was like, that's what they were talking about. It was so humbling.
That's funny to me because you just said your theory is if we don't have negativity during the week and we write it down and then we go through the list, but then you also said you were the person who was like,
prior,
I have to address everything.
No, but that's why I came up with that.
Yeah. That's what she's evolved to. Yeah, she's saying
yes, there was an evolution. And the thing is that I found that with guys, and I experienced it before too. One guy said, it was so sad. He said, well, is there anything you like about me? And he felt so discouraged. And I was like, I was like, oh my God, my list is so huge of what I like. I'm just speaking to the few things so that if we can just get those few things resolved, everything else is great. And I remember my dad teasing my mom and saying, you're the person who can have an entire wall painted, an entire wall, and there'd be one little nick in the corner. And you are the person who will come in and instantly be like, look at that nick in the corner, as opposed to, wow, and take in the painting first. Yes. So
that's human.
Right. So I'm like, okay, because for me, I have to watch myself because I'm very therapist-like. If I see something that is an ongoing thing, or I feel like we can come up with a solution to tackle it, I tackle it right on. But I know that it could come across clinically, and I've had someone say like, okay, I don't want Yonci, the relationship coach, in the relationship with me, but it's hard because I likened it to being a skin doctor or someone who specializes in skin cancers, and we're hanging out. It's gonna kill me to not tell you need a higher SPF, or it's gonna kill me to go, that little thing that's kind of changing shape every month, might want to get that checked out. It's hard for me to not address things that I see as like majorly problematic, and I'm okay with having certain things that are clinical, like let's have a once a week check-in, or let's intentionally fill each other's love tank, or let's intentionally ask questions at the beginning. I think I would need like a relationship nerd like myself to not drive somebody else crazy, because for me, I'm just like, if we can lay the foundation great, oh my God, it's going to be awesome. But to somebody else, it's like, chill, man, like go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
It's also creepy, the person who sees the picture, like, oh my God, this is such a beautiful picture every time and never notices any flaws. I think they're kind of creepy too.
I dated that person and it drove me insane.
Like, so you don't see nothing.
We're not gonna address this at all, or we're just gonna pick this painting right here. Okay, we could pick this one, but we're gonna do the one with the big chip on the. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I'm dumb people too. I be like, well, okay, all right, yeah. So I mean. I guess it's half a dozen in one, six in another, as my grandmama would say.
But see, I also think that those people passively get angry, though. I feel like they don't say something, don't say something, don't say something, and then
they're gonna burn you up.
They're like, oh, them paint chips I overlooked, and now you want to talk about. You're like, oh,
that's me.
Sorry, I talked about you being so bubbly and bright,
but I met you, and now you got the nerve.
You with your raggedy headboard, I got this firm headboard. You gonna talk about me? What?
Yes, I am the passive aggressive.
But that's why you have to have your weekly outlet so you can let it out.
Yes.
Each week.
Yes. Yeah, I like that idea because I need to vent at some point. I need to vent.
You need to work on not being passive aggressive. That's what you need to work on.
And I'm telling you, that has been something that I'm working on in therapy, because I'm not the person that says something every time, because
you want to keep the
I
peace.
can be abrupt and hurtful in my delivery. So I want to not say something every time, because when I say something every time, it may be hurtful. So I don't want to intentionally hurt. I have a very quick wit.
You go for the white meat.
Yeah, I have a very quick wit. My mind is moving at like light speed sometimes. So sometimes if I'm just letting things flow out of my mouth, it's hurtful because it did not flow through the filter. It just came on out. So now it's funny, and everybody thought it was funny.
Except that person.
Yeah. It was me. So I'm the one that's trying to control it and hold things in. And I'm like looking at it like,
she's savage with a smile.
Facts, which makes it worse, because it's like, oh my God, look at the pretty flower, and then come to be stinging you in your nose.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears on you guys. You guys can't see this meme, but everybody on YouTube can see it if you guys want to look at your phones or wherever you have your YouTube set up. But I want to talk about, should we get rid of the whole man up concept when it comes to little boys and even men, grown men? The little cartoon says, it's the mom screaming at the little boy with the belt, looks like in her hand. She says, stop, I can give you something to cry about. Boys and men do not cry. And then it says years later, and then you have the wife or significant other, and she says, why can't you just show a tiny bit of emotion? So boys are taught very early on to, only show anger, or I don't know what other ones are. Definitely anger is allowed to be shown, and any other emotion is frowned upon. Is that something that you think should go away? Is there an alternative? Is there
as a man, I'm intentional about changing the definition of manhood. So I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry, Jerome. Oh, I thought you were right now.
However, and I'm being real when I say this, so excuse me, I'm the baddest MF you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Simple. I'm not even. I mean, I cried at the end of Creed. We were talking about Michael. I cry at the end of that, right? But I'm a bad dude.
I think it takes strength to be able to cry, because you're going to a certain place.
So I agree with that, because I've seen it, like in the streets, the way that a mother will chastise her boy child, right? And I was raised by a woman who would come out looking for me and my brothers with a baseball bat. Ooh. And she was no joke, right? So I and my wife and I talk about this all the time. There is no 11-year-old that understands being a man. So when we talk about the 11-year-old that he's the man of the house, that's BS. Like, we have to get out of that. Allow that child to be a child.
Right.
Because they have no clue at 11 what manhood is. And I'm going to be real with you. I'm 55 years old, right? I just got manhood 12, 13 years ago, because I grew up without a father in the house. I just got it. So to put that on a young kid about, man, you the man of the house. No, he's not. You're just an amazing mother that's handling your business in the crib. But I despise hearing that when, young people, when parents say that to young kids. Yeah. But also, I want to say this, right? And I say this all the time. I hate when a woman says for a man to man up. What do you really know about being a man? Seriously. What do you know? Just like I can't tell you to woman up. I don't know what it is to be a woman. Please do not tell me to man up. You don't know what it is to be a man. And I'm passionate about that. Seriously.
I agree with you, Jerome. I think one of the things that we as a society do is we put so many pressures on kids. We're only children for a short time. Let them be children. Like, the world is gonna tear them to shreds soon enough.
Especially a black child.
a black child. And that's, but listen, that's what I'm speaking on.
Yeah.
Let them live in that bubble of euphoria for as long as they can. Let them have their emotions. Here's the thing. If a little boy cries, ask him why he's crying. Have a conversation so he can understand how to navigate his emotions, but don't stifle him from having emotions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If a little girl acts out, if she gets angry, let her be angry.
Right.
Find out why she's angry. Stop telling her little girls should not be angry. Because then you get these little girls who come out here just popping and swinging because they were never allowed to be angry. Or you get these little boys who are raging inside. They go into manhood, still a little boy because they're raging inside and they don't know how to address their emotions. Then they turn into man and women children because they're not men and women. And try to navigate relationships. They bring new children into the world and nobody knows how to be a successful adult because guess what? I don't even know how to say I'm angry and here's why.
Right. And I think it's so important that we teach children how to communicate, because if they don't have that outlet, it comes out in other ways. It comes out in, getting bad grades or being violent or being quiet or whatever. And I remember dating this guy and I was so blown away by his ability to communicate his emotions. Like, he was so masculine too. He was so masculine, but yet he would be able to say, I don't like this and this is why, or I do like this and this is why. And it was so refreshing. I thought, man, if more guys could say that, because I've had the majority of men I've dated, I would ask them, well, what are you feeling? I don't know. Or what are you thinking about? Nothing. And I'm like, are you really that hollow inside? And they really, like, they weren't just lying. They really had, they kind of just would like tune out sometimes and not really think about anything deep when it came to like emotion. I'm not saying they didn't have intelligence, but when it came to their emotions, they really didn't know how to express anything other than their surface feeling. Like, I'm mad, I'm happy. Like, they couldn't say why. I feel like you make me feel that, like, whatever. I think that's really,
they had to choke it all down.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think
that comes from their upbringing. Again, that's what it comes from. But also, right, how many women say to men, get out your feelings?
Yes. No, please get in them.
Like that
people don't realize, like, I'll never forget a female friend saying that to me about her partner. I said, he get out his feelings, then you are going to have a problem with him being
a psychopath. And he's going to be a psychopath. If you're out of your feelings, you're a psychopath.
To express themselves, and y'all bros out here telling the man to get out his feelings. Like, what is wrong with you?
I hate
this
that.
topic is very close and near and dear to my heart because I have two sons. And I have spent my lifetime as a mother correcting people as how they talk to my children. Like, I will never let them put too much on them. Like, from when my boys were younger, I got divorced. My oldest was 10. I believe when I got divorced, and people were telling him that, like, you gotta man up, Tyrese, because now you're the man of the house. I said, he's not, and don't tell him that. He's not. He'll never be the man of my house. When he gets his own house, he'll be the man of his house. I have a 16-year-old son walking around him. I've heard people tell him that. Mason, you know, you the man of the house. He ain't the man of my house.
I love that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
No, I like that. And that's something else that Kevin Samuels was saying, that he said a lot of boys are surrogate men to their moms.
Yes.
And like so they got robbed of their childhood, but then it's like they have this unhealthy role with their mom, which we talked a couple weeks back about mama's boys. And that's where it starts, because there's this unhealthy dependence on this boy who turns into the man, and now there's this competition that shouldn't even be there with the woman that enters his life, because you should have never been in that role to begin with. So now he's torn between his first wife and his second wife, basically.
It's that Oedipus and Electra complex situation.
And a lot of it comes from the dad either not being present or not being
but the
present.
women that are raising these men, they haven't had a man around either. So they don't know how to communicate anything to these children. Like, I don't believe that women can teach men how to be men, but I believe when a woman has a strong father, she can give direction.
Yeah.
And for my sons, I was raised with a very strong father, and they had their father in their lives, and a lot of stuff I just defer to him. I'm like, you need to call your dad.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. We're not doing that today. Like, I'm not.
I didn't have my father in my life. I had the choice. My mother was very clear. That's your father. And I prefer that things, when it comes to being a man, that you consult him.
Mm-hmm.
However, my father had 26 kids.
Damn.
My father abused my mother when she was pregnant with my younger brother. My father is not a nice human being, right? And, you know, he's hot-tempered, but also he was abused by his father growing up. So he didn't know how to be a father. He didn't know how to be loving and nurturing. So I never went to him for anything whatsoever. I tried to kill him when we were burying one of my brothers. Like, he said something twisted to my mother. And you could say something about me. When you say something about my mother, you got to go. And if it wasn't for my younger brother who's bigger than me pulling me off of him, I would have killed my father. But I had no respect for him as a man, right? And I knew where I was headed as a man. That was not the example I wanted. Somebody that had kids all over the place. It's not what I wanted as a man.
That's real. I tell people all the time, I mean, unfortunately for the generations before us, things were different. There were certain conversations that never could be had. So now that we can have these conversations, that we can make these statements, it's up to us to change it, to speak to the things that my mother or my grandmother would never speak to establish boundaries, to say how I'm going to be treated, you know, to acknowledge my feelings, and to have a man in my life who knows how to acknowledge his, you know, whereas like we said in past, you know, it was about, okay, I need this provider so that we can, you know, have kids, blah, blah, blah. And not to say that I don't believe in the whole concept of, you know, the man, you know, God, man is the head, all that, that's fine. All that's cool. However, we're not going to have a situation where there are no boundaries, where there's no respect, where there's no communication, where there's no respecting where I am emotionally and me respecting where you are emotionally, and sharing in those emotions and supporting and uplifting and all those things. That didn't happen generations before us. Shoot, it probably didn't happen one generation ago.
You're right.
I'm glad that society, as twisted as it can be, is kind of pushing these conversations so that we can kind of adjust some of the things that might not be so healthy.
Right.
No,
Because we're not that many generations away from slavery. So
No, we're not.
we can't act like those things don't affect us, and
Right.
that's not a real issue, that we're still recovering from all this trauma out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we make it worse. I remember, like, especially with emotion with men. And I didn't grow up in an environment where I have an older brother, and he, was tasked to take care of me and be there for me and be like the guiding force and my protector and all those different things like that. But I don't ever remember my mom or my daddy telling him don't cry or man up, or like, and it's like I cringe at stuff like that. I cringe when my friends do stuff like that. I cringe. I'm like, I'm raising men, and I get that, but I wanted my kids to enjoy their childhood. Like the maturity that's put on Black men, like they're never allowed to be children, even when they're 11 or 12 years old, and you got them being policed by these people, and they're supposed to hold all this responsibility for every single thing they do. Like, I believe that we put that on them too. Like, you're not allowed to be a child. I had a friend talking about, all my kid wants to do is play video games all day, because he's a child. And children like to play games. Like, let them play games. I remember my sister was saying something to me. Like, I think they play the games too much. They don't. I grew up with a Nintendo. I'm fine.
Right,
Like,
right. See,
Ooh, I love my Super Nintendo, Marital.
I played it for hours on end. I'm perfectly fine.
I
They
know
will be okay. Let them be
It's
kids.
that we want them to have the same child. Like for me growing up, while we have video games, we also played outside much more than we did inside.
Oh yeah. Tell
We
them
want
Street Lights
them-
came on.
Right. We want kids to have the same kind of childhood as us, but it's not the same, right? It's social media alone is something that has that our kids, that's all, younger kids, that's all they know
Right.
is social media. That in it itself,
games. Some of these kids play games from sun up to sundown. So it's a different world. We can want them to have our childhood, but it's different in this world than it was when we were growing up. I'm intentional about saying we need to meet these young people where they are and not try to have these young people come where we are. It's a different world, a different time. So, meet them where they are. Maybe I sit down. I don't play video games. I'd rather play with my wife, right? I don't play them.
All right,
so
yes.
maybe if I had a young kid in the house, I would be playing video games to meet them where they are. It also could create conversation, and people don't realize when you meet them where they are, you'll be surprised what you'll get out of them.
That is
as well.
so true. And I would say with mine, it's ironic. With my daughter, it's the opposite. I have to teach how to rein feelings in. And, a lot of women, we are overcome by emotion. And one of the things, I think it's just as important to show balance, where, you're not overwhelmed. I know before I would be in certain situations where it was debilitating. I was out. I was done. Whatever I had planned for that day, it was not happening because I was going to be hysterical for hours on end, maybe even tomorrow. And now fast forward, and this is what I talk about a lot in my content on YouTube, is the mind control and self-talk and how to take yourself. It's like those scenes in the movie where like, get it together. There are times as an adult, you just need to get it together. And yes, the situation is tragic. Yes, anybody would understand and empathize with your being, but you can't afford to. For me as a single mom, or for me with the breadwinner, the head of the household, like I don't have that option. And that has been something very important for me to be able to teach my daughter. And we use it all the time. And I'll let her see my growth and say, Mommy would have been a hot mess right now in a fetal position on the floor, a couple years ago. And now you see Mommy, I got it out, maybe the initial cry, and then boom, we moved on, and now I'm okay. And then she'll have a situation and I'll equate it and say, okay, I know right now you're feeling this way, but you need to be able to compartmentalize so that we can get through this homework, or so that we can whatever. And I think that's really important too, that we show healthy emotion, not only allow the emotion, but curtail it when it gets a little bit too, because then you start having those people who can't handle life, and they're the ones that sue everybody because so-and-so didn't smile at me today. Yeah. My God, you know?
But you're arming her with tools in order for her to use because here's the thing. We all come through challenges, right? And like my wife says, we've all survived our very worst days. And you are also showing your daughter, because a lot of times from adults, they don't show us those moments when they're down. Yeah. You're telling her, you're being real with her, and you're explaining to her how you've come through that and the growth that you have. That's humanizing who you are. It's only going to help her.
I think that's so important for more parents to do, because I thought my parents were perfect. I really thought my parents were perfect, and I was shocked. And I got older, and I was like,
we all did.
And I never thought that. I'm sorry, never.
Well, I think
I never thought that. Because the way my parents are, I like just the people who they are. So y'all know me, right? Imagine me times 10, but funnier. That's my mother, right? Aww. So can you really think nah, I love them, but nah.
By the way, hello to Travion. Hello, sir.
Hey. I mean, for me, it was a part of me growing up. I was sick as a child. I had asthma really, really bad as a kid. And I had asthma at the time where nobody should have had asthma. That was before rescue inhalers and breathing machines. Home and all those things like that. So when I was having a really bad attack, my mom would she always prayed over me and anointed me, and she would tell me to breathe, and I couldn't cry. So when I was getting ready, I'm a little kid, so if something like that is happening to you, your first inclination is to cry. Right. Kids express emotions through crying, and she would be like, "Don't cry. Crying makes it worse." And I remember her voice, and I'll get like that now. I am 40-something years old, and I'll be in a moment, and I'm like, And I can hear her
Yeah.
voice. She's like,
Yeah.
don't cry.
Right.
Yes.
Crying makes it worse.
Right.
I made a mistake.
Just breathe. So I'm not a crier to
Yeah.
this day. I'm not a crier because of that. Because crying made it worse. Because I was little and I had problems breathing. And she was like, just calm down. So that's why I have a little bit of passion progressions, because my emotions don't immediately come out.
Got you.
She taught me
Okay.
how to train those emotions and to not express all the emotions that you have. So she was very deliberate in that, because it makes it worse.
Right. And I was going to say, funny story about me is that I've learned that not everybody can appreciate my what is the word? My process. So I let somebody know that I do self-talk to like keep me cool or what have you. If I'm having a panic attack, and I had a panic attack, he was like, yo, that thing weirded me out because I did self-talk. I did self-talk and I was like, you're okay, you're fine. And I'm like, he was like, he told me later, I thought you were off your rocker. I was like, maybe I shouldn't let everybody know my technique. So
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's
a lot of it has to do with the trust that you build with the person and the rapport, and you because if you don't, then like you said, whenever you have those moments or those episodes, he's not going to value it as something that you have to go through, because you didn't take the time to get to know each other front about some of the trigger points.
that's
So
the
now
sad thing is that he knew. I literally told him up front that, after having suffered depression, the residual effects are anxiety. And because one time I had it while on the phone with him, and I said, this is what I have to do to do my breathing or whatever. But he didn't hear the self-talk. It was when he heard the self-talk, he was like, yo.
I just think it's an experience.
He can't even see you. He's just listening.
No,
to
he
you
was in
sound
person
crazy.
with the self-talk. He just heard the breathing over the phone. But yeah, when in person, he was just like.
But I think it's just an experience. I'm about to say, I agree if you built the foundation, because like if you, and I'm with you, Yonci, in terms of having anxiety. So I self-talk, I just don't do it out loud, like I'm in my head or whatever doing it. But I think it's good to have that conversation up front. And then if that person really genuinely, wants to pour into you, it might freak them out, because I'm not gonna lie. If I see somebody just randomly talk to them
first time, yeah.
But even if you know, like, somebody could be like, that chick about to cross the street, but then you see that chick cross the street, be like, why the hell that chick cross the street? But then when you see it again, you already know it's going to happen, right? So I think it's just, a thing to, even if you hear it, when you see it, it's like, oh, this shit is weird.
Yeah.
But then you realize, okay, this person is better.
Yes.
Let me figure out what role I can play to assist them moving forward.
And that's what I think was so frustrating, was it was like, man, I've taken the time to do the work. I figured out what works for me. And that's your only focus, is how weird it is. Like, not, wow, that's really cool that you've managed to get it under control within like 60 seconds. It's just like, no, that's, but I get it. I have to
experience it. You have to. So unfortunately, what I have learned is, someone who suffers from anxiety, is that I have to honestly be more compassionate for people who don't than they are for me, because they've never experienced these feelings. They don't understand what it looks like, because it can look different for anyone. And so I have to have compassion in the fact that they may have never experienced it, or they may have it and they've never acknowledged or been diagnosed, so they don't know how to navigate. So what I did is that I have to have more compassion on it sucks, but I have to have more compassion for someone without anxiety, or who has not acknowledged their anxiety, than they will have for me. Because I have, like Yonci said, I've actually figured out what works for me so that I can function.
Yeah. You made me feel bad, because I just remembered that my best friend, since we were like 17, 18, it was a group of us. We were thick as thieves. And this girl had the worst anxiety, and I had never experienced anyone with anxiety. And I remember one time she called me to pick her up, and her car had broken down, but she had AAA, and I couldn't understand. There was literally a AAA guy there with her car, and that's what you're paying them for, is to take you as well to your place that you need to go. She needed me to come with her and follow behind the AAA guy, because she had had an experience, abuse situation when she was younger, I found out. But she had so much anxiety, she couldn't sit in the car with him. And she couldn't go in elevators. She couldn't go to certain floors. Like, it was so much, and it's so terrible. We call her Dolores because it means pain, because she's always in pain. But after I got older, I was like, she had anxiety and panic attacks, and we were just like, come on, girl, stop making a fuss over,
You know, that brings up another point. Like we currently in the climate where it's okay or socially acceptable for people to talk about their depression and anxiety openly without the feeling of being judged or alienated or ostracized. You know, and so that I think somebody mentioned earlier on. You know, we're now moving in a direction where it's okay to express some of the things that trigger you. And I mean, it's good we're able to have these conversations. And so it also raises people's awareness to have empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
If I could add to that, you know, Travion, because I've suffered from depression, especially during COVID, right? Because I had it and I thought I was going to die. We as Black men need to, and I know it's happening slowly but surely, we as Black men gotta be real about it, right? And I'm thankful that I have a group of men that I meet with every week that we just put it all out there and we're real about it. And we also hold each other accountable to our health and well-being. So we'll talk about, you know, I'm older now, that there are certain tests that I need to go and get taken care of. We'll check in on each other. Yo, did you make that appointment for that prostate exam, for example? We're real. It's so real about that. And, you know, also being real. If you want to improve, you're going to be real about your stuff, right? And I just feel like we as men for so long, and we talked about this earlier about we have to hold it all in. We got to be tough, right? I could be tough and I could be vulnerable at the same time, right? And we as men gotta, again, this is me changing the definition of manhood. We gotta get out of those old BS airs of what manhood is and just be real about it.
Because you're multifaceted.
Yes.
Yeah, we just like women are, right? And we're multifaceted beings, right? Every one of us. We just have to be real as men and not feel, if I say that, this cat's gonna think I'm less than a man.
Yes.
Nah, me personally, I'm gonna think you are more than a man.
Right.
With number one, being able to recognize and realize it and knowing that you want to do something about it. We have to be intentional in the Black community about changing the definition of what mental health is and what it is we need to do about it. And it's so vital.
Jerome, to your point, the more that you do it, it subconsciously gives other men permission to do it. Because if they see that you did it and you didn't explode or disappear off the face of the earth or your package dropped off, you know, like, oh, he still has everything intact, then they might even clown you the first time, but then the second time around, it's like, well, maybe I can open up and talk about how the miscarriage affected me or whatever that thing that maybe they wouldn't.
Nobody's clowning me, Yonci. Trust me.
Look, they not gonna clown you.
We know.
If they know Jerome K hurt, they are not clowning me. They know.
They gonna get.
Y'all caught. He put that K in there.
He sure did. That's when it's serious. Okay, I want to switch it up again. I want to talk to you about something that men have said that women are guilty of. I think that both genders possibly have.
Let me see me roll my eyes.
Yes, I know, ladies. Get ready. Just take your sip of your drink.
I only got water now.
Oh.
I know. I need to re-up.
Look, we need that server nearby.
Y'all re-up and let me and Travion take this. How's that?
No.
And then we're going to put them in the waiting room so they can't answer until we're done. Okay, so they said, you know those little memes where it says nobody and then women or me or whatever? Well, both of these say women, okay? So it says, women, never change yourself for a man. Also women, if he can't accept you for who you are, then leave his you know what. So have you experienced that in your encounters with women? Men, I'll pose this to the fellas. And which is the right way to go? Because we can't be on both sides. We either are got to be the whole accept people for who they are, or, you know, we got to pick a side. So first question is, have you experienced this with women?
Or I got to go to myself.
I believe in accepting a woman for who she is.
Okay.
Right? And I say that because I think at a certain point in life, you are who you are, and it's not about you changing.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, there are certain things that bothered me in my relationship with my wife. But you know what? I got to a point where it's like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm tripping about it in my head. But at the end of the day, it's not that serious. And, you know, I love her for who she is. The same thing I love her unbelievably for is the same thing that drives me crazy about her.
Yeah.
So, you know, I want her for who she is. So I don't want to change anybody. And the reason also, in some ways, I don't want to change her,
Yeah.
I ain't changing either.
So you're gonna keep it both
So-
sides, except acceptance.
Yeah, I'm going to evolve in some ways. There's some things that my wife has helped me evolve about since we've been together, where if you knew me 20 years ago, you'd be like, yo, Jay, you need to change that. And I was stuck in it. But she helped me evolve as a man. But changing, can't change somebody who they are. No, queens, stay the way that you are, because us kings are going to stay the way that we are. You have to find that person that is going to mesh with you, not you to mold or not for him to mold.
That's, my friend is probably watching this cheering right now because you sound like him.
Yeah. I think people evolve. I think people mature and grow up. I don't think they change per se.
As for me, for one, you got to understand human nature. Human nature is complex, unpredictable, and so you can't underestimate the unpredictability and the complexity of human nature altogether. And so, with that being said, women and humans in general, people are emotionally ambiguous. And so when you encounter emotional ambiguity, you have to accept, you know, the nature for what people are. And then you also have to confront whatever the situation is that bothers you and then address that in a respectful manner. And then if there's a deficit or a flaw that that person has that you can't overlook, then you have to make the decision on whether or not you want to stay in this situation if you know it doesn't serve your benefit. And so sometimes acceptance doesn't require understanding. You don't have to quite understand it to accept it. You just got to accept it. This is the reality of who you're dealing with, and this is the reality of human nature. And you got to understand that everybody's different. Everyone serves a role within the universe. Everyone serves a role in the human ecosystem. And so, with that being said, it usually just depends on the person that I'm dealing with at that moment. And again, off top, I accept. And then if there's a situation or something that I know for a fact that this bothers me, then I have no problem walking away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just to add one little thing to it. I think the concept of changing people aligns with the concept of ownership. We have to get out of the mindset that we own the other person, so we control what they are and who they are. We have to understand that you are you, I am I. I know that's grammatically incorrect. And that you have to accept me at my baseline. Period. You accept me at my baseline. Yes, I may grow. Yes, I may evolve. Yes, you may grow. Yes, you may evolve. Yes, we may accommodate things about the other person that we may or may not agree with, but accept people at their baseline and then go from there.
I like that. All right, I'm going to switch it up.
Again?
Yes, we're going to make it a little bit silly. You know, I got to switch it up, keep changing things. All right, so I came up with what I think is the most brilliant solution to the everlasting toilet seat debate between men and women. So I want to hear everybody, if you think this is a solution, because we had some silly comments in the group, but at the end of the day, I think it's freaking genius. So for those of you who live under a rock and they don't know what the male-female debate over the toilet seat is, men say for us to use it, the lid needs to be up, therefore it should be kept up. The women say for us to use it, the lid has to be down, the seat has to be down, so the seat should stay down. Well, this is my solution where it's equal across the board. Put the doggone lid down. If you put the lid down, then the men have to grab the seat and the lid to use it. And if you put the lid down, the women have to lift the lid to use it. So either way, people are lifting that lid, and it's not like it's heavy. So them grabbing the seat, the guys grabbing the seat is not that big of a difference. So both people were grabbing the lid, and then someone else made a point I didn't even think about, which was a bonus. They said, which I have heard this before, it is unsanitary for you to flush the toilet with the lid open.
Anyway. The germs go out in the world.
The particles are going out, and the thing that we have exposed is our toothbrush, most likely, unless it's in the medicine cabinet. So you got stuff floating. So what do you guys think? Do you think I solved the great dilemma of men and women?
Here's my resolution. How about you have your own damn bathroom and I have my own bathroom? We ain't gotta have these problems.
Get your coins up. That's what my grandparents had.
In the same house. We get our own bathrooms at the same house. Then we don't have to beef over this. So if you forget, leave that joint up. Because I'm going to tell you now, if I fall in the toilet, nobody getting sleep. I am going to pull out pots and pans. I'm banging them all over the house. I'm not cooking. Like, I am going to have a whole fit if I fall in the toilet.
My grandparents have been married for more decades than I can even count. They're in their 80s and they got married young. They have a bidet, they have a urinal, and they have a regular toilet.
There you go. See, that resolves it. We don't have no issues.
Yeah, that urinal basically puts an end to all of that.
Yeah, you got no beef.
The toilet is in its own water closet. So
I first of all agree with Latera, and that's basically what we have in my house. My wife uses one bathroom, I use the other, right? However, I was raised with my mother and sister where we had only one bathroom. Habitually, that seat comes down automatically. I don't think my wife can ever say she's gone into the bathroom where she's needed to pull it down. I'm very mindful about that.
That's sweet.
But I agree. But there are times where she's not home. If she's not home and I'm the only one here, it stays up. And she traveled for work a lot. So there would be a lot of time that I'm in the house by myself. If she happened to come in, she would see that the toilet seat is up. But when she's home and I know she's going to be home, again, it's just something that I was raised with because I had my mother and my sister.
You're mindful of that.
I bring that toilet seat down without a doubt.
Yeah. I grew up with my dad and my brother, and we had one bathroom too growing up. And it only took one time for me to turn around and look down. So I'm examining how this situation is before I actually sit on it because of how I grew up. I'm looking to see if the
You had too many traumas.
Yes. Crystal said I'm coming with the whole
time. All you need is once to fall in that toilet. And then I was a kid, so I fell all the way in.
I had a time where I sat on the lid before. I had a time where I came in, it was the middle of the night, and I'm, coming through the dark.
You were tired.
And I sat on that lid, and I said, oh, I didn't expect to be kissed like that. I was like, whoa, what am I? Yeah, all the undersides, bro. There was contact. What's going on? That was unpleasant. All right, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag me. Did you know YouTube is very, very, very big on, like, what you can and cannot talk about, even topic-wise? Certain things will get flagged and you cannot get sponsored. You can't get ads for your video. So fingers crossed they don't censor me. But if your company made it mandatory for you to have vaccinations to continue working there, what would you do? We're going to start with Lashante.
We talked about this on Friday. That's so funny. So I work in the healthcare field. I just throw that out there. And I've never seen before where vaccines are mandatory. But if in the case they were, I wouldn't take it. I'm not one of those people that, I believe that. But
you said you would take it?
I would not.
Oh, you would not.
No. If it was mandatory, like within the first year, right. Yeah, like if it was mandatory in 5 years, then yeah, I would probably be fine with that. But like if it was mandatory in February,
you're not trying to be like.
Yeah, like we don't know. Those vaccines are only tested on healthy people. So we don't know what's going to happen with people who have underlying conditions. We don't know what's going to happen with people who have allergies. I have severely bad allergies. Like, you're not about to just shoot me up with some stuff that y'all made 6 months ago. Like, miss me with that. Yeah, like I'm not going to die to keep my job.
It's not that serious.
Like, what good is the job if I'm dead? Like,
coins in the grave. Right?
Yes, no. If it comes to my life, then I'm definitely choosing my life.
Okay, Latera, what you doing? What you doing? They come to you, girl.
I'm gonna be like Dave Chappelle and plead the fifth.
Enough said. Travion, they
Yeah.
cracking up.
I plead the fifth.
Oh, okay. And well, I guess it's different for me because I work for myself, so I don't have to worry about anyone coming for me after this video.
You know, and Yonci, you know, we have an Education Saturday in my group. We had this exact thing. We had a conversation with two women plus myself who had COVID, and that was actually my last question. And I'm going to answer it the same way I did then. I've had flu vaccine. 2 weeks ago, I got the shingles vaccine. I had COVID. I thought I was going to die. When they roll it out, I'm getting it.
Do you think there's a correlation with getting the flu vaccine and getting COVID?
I don't care.
You know, I had to be petty.
I'm saying that because, and I'm being so real when I say this, because I realized in talking to my therapist, I have some post-traumatic stress disorder from having COVID.
Yeah, because you had a really serious bout, though.
When you're sitting there and you think it's over, there's and not only did I think it was over one day, but the next 2 days I wanted to die. That's how much I was suffering. So whatever they can give me, that's going to ensure, because me and my wife were active people. I go crazy being in the house. So whatever they can give me that I hope is going to protect me, I want it. I don't have airs about vaccines in any way, shape, or form. I just don't. So yes, give it to, I'll be the first in line, knocking people over to get it. Honestly, that's real.
Yeah, I had caught COVID back in early November, but it was a mild case of it. If you had asked me back then before I got tested positive, I would have thought I had the flu or the cold, because the symptoms were in line and they were consistent with what would have been flu-like or cold symptoms. The aches, the chills, the sore throat,
the headache.
I didn't experience any of the other extremes where I lost the taste and smell or sense of taste, or you know what I mean. I ain't lose any of those, thank God. And I managed to recover within like almost probably like less than a week. I was feeling really bad on November the 3rd, election night, and then Saturday I started to feel somewhere between 85 to 90%. And I was like, whoa. I mean, I recovered, but I was still tested positive, 5 days later. And so I had to allow it time to run its course. But again, that was just a mild case of it. And I know not everybody's fortunate to recover as quickly and still not have like any lingering symptoms, beyond it.
Yeah.
I got it in March, the end of March.
Ooh, that was the early joint.
Yeah, and remember, New York was the hot spot. So I'm in the hot spot. And I did not stop coughing until June.
Wow.
That's why Drew shut y'all down. That's why Drew was like, and y'all closed.
And I've had a headache since June.
Right.
It doesn't stop. I have fatigue. I'm a hustler. Like, I'm on the go. I can't do like I used to. And I also have scarring on my right side lung that on some days and when the doctor did the MRI, she said, I've never seen anything like it. I cannot tell you if it's permanent or not. I'm just telling you it's there. And there are days where I literally can't move because of the pain that I feel there. So when people talk about having COVID, there are so many of us that have post-COVID symptoms that you just wouldn't even, I wouldn't wish having COVID on even the current president of the United States. It's that bad.
Wow.
Seriously.
I've heard about people saying there's residual for some people, but I don't know anyone besides you who had.
It's bad. It's bad.
Wow. And also one who has diabetes now. She had COVID. really bad.
Yeah, I was getting ready.
Diabetic prior to having COVID, and now she has.
Yeah,
Wow.
if you had underlying or pre-existing conditions, then it only intensifies. I mean, I guess for me, I'm 35, about to be 36. So for my age, I'm still relatively healthy. So that was a good thing. That played a part in, in my speedy recovery. However, they say, for people to have diabetes or have lung problems with lungs, if they have kidney issues, it might trigger the COVID to respond in a hostile manner. That's the part. And then also age takes into effect as well too. And
I'm running to the front of the line, family. I'm telling y'all that now.
Man.
Seriously.
Well, go ahead.
I feel you, bro. I'm glad that you're still here with us and you were able to recover as much as you could.
Yeah, I can't. I've lost my sense of smell. I lost the sense of taste and smell. I don't have it back. My wife all the time will say to me, "Do you smell that?" No, baby, I don't. It's gone.
You still haven't gotten it back?
No, have not.
Is it permanent? Or just
we don't know if it's permanent because we've never had this before, right? So we just don't know. So again, I think my wife asks me that once a day. Do you smell that? Nope, I don't.
Taste it. Yeah.
The taste is fine. The taste came back very quick, but the smell, no. And I'm gonna say this. I'm alive not because of me, but because of God. Because I hadn't eaten in 5 days, and I'm in my bathroom screaming at the top of my lungs for God to take me. Like I'm screaming. I've had it. Take me, God, please. Yeah. And I heard a voice that said, "Lay down. Your fight is over." That's when I thought that's when I thought it was over. I mean, I literally was like, all right, cool. I heard that voice and said, all right, let me go lay down. Right. 36 hours later, the temperature broke for the first time.
Wow. See, now I feel like a big baby because I had a tooth taken out and I had an exposed nerve. And I literally was like, Jesus, take me home. It was worse than my labor. And I had 2 babies. And I was like, take me home. And I'm like, I kind of was tapping out.
Everybody's pain threshold is different too. So
everybody's,
you gotta give yourself a break. Everyone's pain threshold varies based upon their life experiences and stuff like that. So
well, you know what else varies? People's opinion on how they should be proposed to. I don't know if you guys can look at your YouTube screen so you can see the graphic here. I want to know, what would you do? And this is more for the ladies because the ladies get proposed to usually. If you were asleep, mind you, this woman is in her bonnet. You were asleep in the bed. Your man proposed, I'm going to put air quotation marks, obviously, because you couldn't hear it, but put the ring on your finger, took the picture, captioned it, "I proposed to her while she was asleep," and then you woke up to all the congratulations on social media. What would you do? Oh, I see a church finger. I saw the little, in her spirit, she had a little.
Yes. I'm giving you a church. So here's the thing. Listen, because here's the thing. The church finger had to go up. Because depending on our relationship, right? You know that you could put that ring on my finger. I'm going to wake up and look and be like, are we doing this? Okay. But the problem comes in that you took a picture. You posted this on social media with me. First of all, with me in my whole damn bonnet. Okay. That ain't okay. You ain't let me
go to bed laid like this.
You ain't let me sit up and perch, and you ain't let me do none of that. And you just gonna tell everybody? That's the problem. Now it would be one thing if he put the ring on my finger, knowing I'm about to wake up in a few minutes, and then I look and be like, "Wait, what's this?" And then you ask the question and blah blah blah. That might be cute, but you putting the ring on my finger, taking a picture, and acting like I actually consented to this is the problem.
Okay,
that's the problem.
So it's the behind your backerization that you're having a problem with.
Okay. The fact that you lied, there ain't no damn behind my backerization. You lied, my G. Like, I didn't say nothing. I didn't say yes. I didn't say I think so.
But what if the caption was that I put a ring on it and she's gonna see it in the morning? What if he didn't?
Yeah, no, because you don't get to tell everybody that this is happening.
If you don't even know what's happening.
And I don't even know what's happening unless we're doing a surprise engagement in front of our family. But I'm alert.
But your bonnet knew what was going on.
See, and that's the problem. My bonnet, because what if that wasn't even my good bonnet?
Good bonnet.
What if that wasn't my bonnet that I used when I fake sleep and post pictures of being
But
fake?
Tara, what if he took only the picture of your hand, not your bonnet?
Now that's a compromise.
Yeah,
that's a compromise.
That would have made sense to me. If
Just
he
your
just,
hand, not your bonnet.
But
or even if he had a cut,
Jesus.
if he had a cut the bonnet off.
Every black man should know not to
Right.
take a picture of your woman in her head wrap and post it to social media.
And you know, petty people are going to analyze what's on your nightstand, what your little bed clothes look like if you're wearing bed
Just the
clothes.
hand.
How do your nails
Them
look?
good
Are you
sheets.
ashy? Like,
Just yet, because I believe,
That's why I sleep naked.
and I'm just gonna get out of this conversation and let Lashante take it from here. I believe before you have bought that ring, you have had that conversation about getting married, so you're pretty sure she's going to say yes. If you don't know that, homie, you should not have bought that ring. But
Right.
I'm just thinking, all you're getting is the picture of the hand. That's my thought.
But don't post it yet. Like, I don't think so. For me, I am very like I'm not gonna say controlling. I think we should agree on when the narrative should be put out there, right? So you taking a picture of my hand and putting it out there is putting a narrative out there that I may not be okay with because I may not want it. So I have friends and family who I feel like should know that before the world. So like, I want us to call your mama. I want us to call your daddy. I want to call my mama and daddy. My sisters need to know because I'm gonna tell you now.
that's a good point. Those people will have your throat. You
Listen,
let the
them
whole world know. You let the Instabook and the Facegram know before you told me.
Listen,
Yes.
them sisters I got will lay me out if I posted on somebody's social media or he posted this and we never had a conversation.
Yeah, I don't like
Nah. I'm not about to find out I'm engaged on Instagram.
Look,
Like,
that you're engaged.
right, like that's crazy to me. Like, but like I said, I'm okay with him doing it that way, right? Because like you said, Jerome, if we together and you are in a place where you're buying that ring, we didn't have some type of conversation where you pretty much know I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
You just can't tell the world until we actually have this conversation. That was my beef with it.
Well, that's what somebody commented.
Okay.
Somebody was like, "What if she woke up and said no?" And he had already done posted.
But I'm glad my brother went to K.
Right, that's what they said. He went
Every
to K.
kiss begins with K.
My man.
Yeah,
went
the
to
ring
K.
was nice. The ring was very, very nice.
Oh, this actually happened?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is a real scenario.
This is a real scenario, and they were like, "How would
Yeah,
you
he
feel?"
put the ring on her finger while she was asleep.
Why did someone say, "Is she sucking your thumb?" Though, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Lashante.
It does look like she has her hand in her mouth.
But her nails are cute, though.
It is, but I mean, the bonnet is like half on her head or not. Like, I'm like, dude, where you been at? Like, you think it's okay for you to take a listen?
And you,
I
I cut you
saw
off.
before social media, but I remember my ex-husband took a picture of me while I was sleeping. And the picture was funny because, like, I had just got my hair done. We were, like, out of town. And I had a bonnet on. Yes. Yes, I had short hair, and it was curled with the flips and stuff like that. And he thought it was hilarious, that I'm sleeping basically.
Like,
Got to.
That's what I'm not doing.
Like the girl in Friday.
hilarious. Oh my God.
And
You were
it's
telling the backstory.
it's also, so I had a friend of mine during COVID, a dear friend of mine who passed away, right? And people we knew posted it 7 minutes after she had passed away. And I had to comfort them and let them know all of her family don't even know yet. So what is the hurry in being the first to post this on social media?
Body hasn't
I
been
was
cooled off yet.
living. Like, I don't understand,
Ignorant.
why that's something that we do. I should never have to find out that someone that I know, that I'm close to, friend or family, that they died. I should not find that out because someone posted it on social media.
That happened to me.
That's something I'm very funny about. No, that should not be how I find out.
I
So it's
told and found out somebody took his life through social media. Granted, it was his family who posted it because, so many people were asking or what have you. But I found out, and it was a really tough one for me because, go ahead. I got little ones, so I gotta go back and forth. But they had asked to have a lunch with me, and my boss never restricted my lunchtime. This one day,
I
remember
remember
Thursday?
you talked about this,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that one day he restricted my lunch, and I had to cancel, and then he ended up taking his life. But I found out about his passing through social media, and it was because we only had one other person in common. He was somebody who was I met as a customer when I worked at the screen printing shop, and he was so dope. We all became friends. We kept in touch, and so I only knew the shop owner, who was still my friend, and but it wasn't a situation where like they would have called me, because I think they had just kind of found out around the same time. But that was
Right.
the most unsettling thing, to be going through stories like woohoo, and then you're like, and what was even
Yeah.
scarier was it was his own account. So they were using his account, so it was like creepy, because it's like you're looking at his
Yeah,
page,
like
and it's
somebody-
Yeah, he posted this.
Like,
Yeah,
he-
yeah,
that's
I'm
what
like,
you, yeah.
wait,
about his
what?
death.
Yeah. I mean, I think Facebook, social media, whatever, is a great way to get out information to masses. Clearly, I did it the other day because there's just too many people to share certain announcements with, right? However, that core collective needs
Yeah.
to hear it from
Yes.
me.
I like
And that's
that.
my point with this situation. Do it. I'm cool with it, bruh. Might be cute. It happened in one of the Tyler Perry movies. But the fact is, let's tell the people that matter the most to us
Yeah, the inner
first
circle.
before it's just a random thought to the world.
Yeah.
And
I definitely was not in a circle.
I had surgery a few years ago, and I was a basketball coach, so I have a lot of young men who look up to me as like a father figure. And before I went into the surgery, of course, I said to my wife, let the kids know, but also, and I put them on a chain. I said, let these young men know, because I'm like a father to them. So the first thing that went out from my wife was to my kids, and the next one was to the young men who I coached in basketball. And it was not until maybe the next day, I think, that she said something about how I was doing, because she wanted to make sure that everybody who I intended to know
Right.
had responded first. They shouldn't have to see it on social media. They knew that I was having her contact them, and they knew, let's respond back to make sure Mrs. Coach, as they call her, knows that we know that he's okay.
Yeah. What do you guys think about what is it called? Wait. The word just keeps slipping in my mind. I'm going to carnivores. Cadavers. What do you think about having pictures of deceased people after they've deceased? I have seen that, and I'm just like,
It's a no-no.
it's
No.
so cringy for me.
I don't even take you. I even taking pictures of
Yeah.
someone in the casket. That for me, no, that's the no-no.
Somebody
No.
said that they
I
don't
feel
want an
friend of
open
mine.
casket because of the fact that they want to be remembered in their living state. And when you go to a funeral and it's an open casket, that is the last memory you have in your head. And even though they can have a really good person, put them together, they still look deceased. And so that's your final memory of that person. I'm not a fan of post-mortem photos.
Nope, don't do it.
Yeah.
And certainly don't put it on social media.
Not at all. All right, so we've uncovered all of the things that I wanted to talk about. I did want to get back to what I talked about last week. Kevin Samuels, I mentioned him a couple times tonight. I said I wanted to close talking about him, but he was really ripped a new one from a lot of people because he was talking about the girl said, at best you're average and yada yada yada.
I missed.
Oh,
I saw
man. That was a good one. So he did an interview with the Roommates podcast. They have a YouTube channel. And I really got a deeper insight into him and who he is. And so even though that clip was very titillating and he has a little bit of an aggressive stance, I learned so much about him. So I want to publicly give him his flowers. He is a huge advocate for the Black family, as am I. The reason why my group, that you guys are all in is all Black, even though some people think that's controversial, is because I feel like there are certain effects that are still in place because of slavery that has crippled us, unlike any other ethnicity. And so I feel that we really need to work from within to restore women's faith in men and vice versa. And so that's the reason I do it. But hearing that fact that he has a big heart for Black families, especially, you know, that endeared him to me. He also said these things. So I just jotted down a few things that I wanted to share because I totally agree with him. He said that our community needs to heal as individuals. He said that from his observation, a lot of women have contempt for men.
Shoot, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. He said that a lot of women have contempt for men. Hold on one second. Sorry, that was a little technical glitch. You guys should be able to hear me now.
Yes.
A lot of women have contempt for men, which I have witnessed that, and a lot of men don't value women past, you know, I said the pocketbook, and not the pocketbook on their arm, but the little wet pocketbook. And he said that people need to go to work and get therapy. And Jerome, you were saying the same thing, and it's okay if you guys respond too. I know that for the closing part you're gonna do that, but I think that it's so important, like you guys were saying, for each individual person to do their own work so that when they come together, you're dealing with normal couple problems and not like deep-rooted healing issues. He also said that we need to stop pointing the fingers, which we talk about all the time. Men need to stop being so worried about what women are doing wrong and vice versa. Men work on men, women work on women. This one is a tough one. I'm even like a little lump in my throat saying it. But he said that one of the things that we need to work on within our community is being in shape. He said that we have some really bad statistics, and he got on us. He said we as women, we are pretty bad on this, you know, this end. And I think culturally it's acceptable because thick is in and, you know, all this stuff. I know for me, I gained so much weight and the men are like, do not lose it again. But I'm not at a healthy weight right now. And they were saying that a lot of women were saying, you know, why is it that we are not booed up? How come we can't get a man? And he said a lot of men are scared to say it, but they want a woman who's in shape. Even if he said, we're not looking for stick figures, no 0-2s, but just whatever your personal health is. And he said specifically it's the waist, which I had so many questions about the thick thing. Cause I'm like, what's the difference between a overweight person and a thick person? And the men said universally, it's that waist. If you can get that waist down, they will forgive a lot more stuff. I'm just the messenger, so don't come for me, y'all. And then he said, now this is the interesting one. Make sure you guys are unmuted so you can respond to this. So I watched a podcast from Rebekah Lynn Pope first, and then I watched his, and she had me totally on board. And then when I watched his, I was like, So I want to kind of split this tie, or split the, you know, the two theories. So Rebekah Lynn Pope said that we need to we need to walk away from our tight grip on gender roles. And she said that a lot of us are looking to the previous generation who had very distinct gender roles. And then we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to do in our relationship. But they're really, a lot of that is thrown out of the window because women are in the workplace now. And a lot of times men are doing the things that traditionally women do. So I thought, you know, that makes a lot of sense. She said we should look more towards having a partner that we can work with. Now, contrast to Kevin was saying that we need to get back to gender roles. He said because a lot of that stuff is boosting masculinity and femininity. A lot of the roles that women traditionally did tapped into their nurturing side, and with the men, it taps into their masculinity. They're providing, and we talked about that, Jerome, earlier. Like if a man says, well, I'm not the provider, she's the one providing, psychologically, it's undermining that normal yin yang. So where do you guys fall when it comes to those two? Because those are extremely different scenarios as far as the gender roles.
I'm with the sister that said about the gender roles, because I know so many people who, as men, are not the breadwinners. They're hardworking men, don't get it twisted, but they're not the breadwinners. That they take care of the kids. And they're still men, manly men. You know, again, it's changing the definition of manhood, right? And when we get stuck in that, then that also might narrow who it is that we could possibly choose as a partner because of that. We need, I'm okay with being away from that. I mean, in my first marriage, I was the one that took care of the kids for the most part. I was the one at the doctor's appointments, and and my ex-wife was very clear. She's like, I just don't know how to do those things. So I was like, I got it. So, I don't see anything wrong with us having, crossing over with respect to gender responsibilities. There are some responsibilities that I still, in my marriage, I do the cooking, for the most part. But yet, if my wife needs to go somewhere, I'm the one that walks the 2 blocks to go get the car. I'll pull the car up in front of the building. When she comes out, I open the door for her, whether she's driving or not. So, I have no problem, in her, in us not that we need to get away from that, because I think it just puts us in a pigeonhole box.
Yeah.
And the world is different from the previous generation, like totally different. So I can't see how his mindset with respect to that is going to hold water. What do we do? Tell these amazing women to go back to the crib?
Right.
No, we can't. I don't see that as being something that we could or should do. Let's find a way for us to be amazing together.
Yeah.
If you because I love to cook. My wife will say, I love to cook. And you're going to take that away from me?
Wait, were you on that panel? Ladies, I think you were there. Were you on that panel where I said, does it make sense if somebody has like a grass allergy, but because he's the man, he needs to go mow the lawn? Or what if he loves to cook?
No, I wasn't
we
on
talked about it. No, this was Friday. Yes, because I said I don't cut grass. I just don't. So whoever I date, I'm really gonna need them to want to or figure out how this grass gonna get cut, right? But again, if he has allergies, well, I don't want you to go cut it, but we gonna pay somebody else to cut it because I just don't do that.
Because they were saying, the guy was saying that because it's a man, the man needs to be doing the certain role. So I said, you're going to take away from the guy who loves cooking because he's not, or she. Yeah. And I said, so if they're perfectly, it was the one where Tony and Sire were on. That's how long ago it was. But I was saying, I don't think that really makes sense, because what if it works for me? What if it works for me? What if I love being outdoors and I love being in the garden and my man has an allergy, but you're going to tell me, no, we have to switch because that's the role?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all fine until the other people, outside people, get involved. I think that I had that happen to me in when I was married. We were perfectly fine. My ex-husband, he likes to cook, and I was more of the outside person, and he had allergies and things like that where he couldn't cut grass and stuff like that. And he cooked a lot of the time. I cleaned, he cooked. There was a balance with that.
Yeah.
I remember we moved closer to his family. I remember his brother and sister being like, why do you cook all the time? Like, why isn't she cooking? Like, and their views of what my role was and what his role was so specific that, he felt some type of way about it. And he stopped cooking.
Yeah. Wow.
And things changed in our marriage because of what, his siblings had to say. And they were, of course, a lot older than us. And then a lot of the women in his family did not work. And I've always had a career. So and he started comparing me. And I'm like, I can't be compared to somebody who's a housewife. Like, you can't work 60 hours a week and I'm coming home to cook or do this or that. So we started having real problems because of that. And I think that when you start allowing other people to have their judgments and to start dictating what you're supposed to be doing in your marriages, that's when it goes left. I feel like if everybody feels good about their roles and what they need to be doing, then it's nobody else's business how it works out. I grew up with a father who cooked. He was the manliest of men, but he was also the eldest he had 16 siblings. Ooh. So he was one of the older ones. So and it was mostly boys. He has like 3 sisters, but they were all younger. So the boys took care of the girls. So he could cook. They all cooked. They all cleaned. And he loved to cook, and he would cook a lot. So, it's just, I think that it doesn't matter until people start sticking their nose in people's businesses and then start telling them what they think is best for their marriages or their relationships.
So leave folks alone. If it ain't broke, don't try to come in
Mind
and fix
your
it.
business. Yes.
Please, please.
That have nothing to do with you.
And that's where the little jokes too we were talking about. There's always little truth. Don't even with the jokes. Oh, I see he's cooking it. With the little joke, you never know what little thing you put in that person's ear that starts to turn into an insecurity because you had to have something to say. Well, he said that we need to become more marriage minded and be open to receiving help from professionals. He said marriage is hard work. And he definitely recommends, individual therapy and then having your therapist, which Rebekah also agrees. He said that our generation is struggling because the men were raised a lot by single moms and were told to be the men in the household, and they became surrogate men to those mothers. And he said the women who grew up in the single parent home with just the mother, they were taught to be super tough as nails, and it made them lack femininity because they didn't have time to be feminine because they're trying to just survive. So you have now these super wussy men who are mama's boys and these hard as nails women, and there's this conflict. And then every now and then you get the tough guy and you have the tough girl, and then there's conflict, and then you got the feminine girl and the not so manly guy. It's a mess. So I think with men,
I can't relate. I can't. I mean, I grew up with both parents. I can't relate.
Oh, I don't have. Yeah, same. And
I don't have a bonus fight. I had my mom and my dad, so I don't know how to. I can't speak on what a single parent household. How that impacts. What I can see it. I have cousins, whatever, but experience wise, I had two parents. I don't know.
And I think that the healing comes in when women can listen to men as far as what they want, because the podcast, the Roommates podcast, did a beautiful job of describing what, and I want to do a reaction video to it, but what men want in a woman. And it was very sweet to hear the reasons for the things that they asked. And a lot of it is stuff that women would not think. Like, they said, I hate to say it, but we're not impressed by PhDs and this and this. We care about your nurturing nature. Are you somebody that is adding peace to my life? Are you soft? Are you feminine? They said as much as it sounds, old school, cooking, it speaks volumes, and it's different than ordering food. He said it's different. He's like, we could order food. There's something about coming home and experiencing the smells wafting through the house and visually seeing our woman cook. And I think, I always say this in the group, we have to think about who we want at the end of the day. Like, if we really want a man at the end of the day, we have to listen to men. And if men are saying they want women, they need to listen to us as women. When we tell you what we want, we tend to agree on a lot of things. We might have certain specific nuances, but at the end of the day, like, most women agree, we want to feel cherished, loved, and secure. Like, we have certain fundamentals as men and women, and we just have to be open to listening to each other. So those are
I think it comes back to the love languages as well.
Yes, definitely.
When you know your partner's love language, make sure that you're loving them in that way. If not, what was the use in us going through that? So that's vitally important. That's part of listening, like you said.
But I don't even think that it's just, I know when it comes to women too, I don't think that it's just the single parent home that teaches women to be tough. I was having this conversation with this week, and someone called me strong, and I was triggered by it. And I was posting on Facebook about how people think that calling a Black woman strong is a compliment, and it's not. And I do believe that society sells Black women a dream, saying that we need to be strong, and for all types of different reasons.
Superwoman.
Yeah, like we should be able to handle everything, and we should be able to shelter everything and take care of everybody. And we're supposed to always be selfless and strong. And that word gets attached to Black women so much in our society and in our culture that we think, two-parent household or single-parent household, we think that that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to take care of everything. We're supposed to be good. We got the kids over here. I'll figure it out. I'll work it out. Don't worry. I'll do it. I got it. Everything is.
I have to say, I don't understand why it's triggering. And so you're going to have to help me understand that, because
I'll tell you exactly.
Again, I was raised by a woman. She raised 4 kids, and she had next to nothing, and she refused to go to my father to ask anything. She just expected him to do it. I was raised by a strong Black woman, so help me understand why it's triggering, why it's not a compliment, because I do think of the species of men and women, Black women are the strongest of the species. So help me with that.
Here's the thing. She had to be strong. She didn't necessarily want to be strong. She had to be strong. So we're not talking about a trait. We're talking about survival. So I'm not strong because that's my personal character, or that's my trait, or that's who I am. I have a strong personality. I'm surviving. I'm surviving raising children on my own because I don't have another option. I'm surviving this world that beats me up because I don't have another option. I'm living and surviving in this mode, and Black women are usually in survival mode. And because we always are there, people start thinking that that's how it's supposed to be. And now that's a reality, and we're complimenting something that should not have to be. There is no other culture of women where their men describe them as strong. You know why? Because they don't have to be.
Is it like saying the focus is on your resilience versus saying, let's change the situations that's forcing me to have to be?
Exactly.
So it's like if you had a victim, like let's say a sexual abuse victim, and someone's like, wow, you're so strong, you're so great, and they only talked about how great and strong she was for surviving, but no one dealt with the fact that she was molested.
Right. Okay. Or somebody who survives cancer. Like you said, oh my God, the strength it took. You're such a strong person for surviving cancer. We don't compare those two things, but usually when you attach strong to a person, it's because they survived something or they lived through something. We attach that to our characters and who we are as people. I shouldn't have to be that. And especially if you're talking about men who are coming to assist us and to be there for us and to be a covering and to be a leader. How are you supposed to lead me if I'm so strong? Like, it shouldn't be a characteristic. Like, I get it. We are single mothers, and you have women who have survived being a single mother. And yes, she was strong for surviving that. But if she had a choice, I'm sure that's not what she would have chosen for her life.
How would you recommend him give you the kudos? You meaning women who are exhibiting those characteristics, the overcoming. What would you say?
I think we should just say for what it is. Like, you survived something, so you're strong. But a lot of women don't know how to turn that off. So we struggle in relationships with when our femininity is supposed to show up, or if it's even supposed to show up at all. Because remember, that strongness can be the barrier between you having a good relationship.
Yes.
Men need femininity. They're not sitting up there screaming for it because they don't need it. They want you to be soft. They don't want you to be strong all the time. They need that softness and that femininity. So there has to be some type of balance. But a lot of Black women, we don't know that because we're being applauded for being strong. So women are supposed to be needy.
I just quote the good prophetess, Karen White, that said, I am not your superwoman, okay? Just saying.
I get that.
I ain't trying to be it.
I don't want that for myself. I don't want to be called it.
I hear what you're saying. But how many successful men always speak to the rock that is the women that's behind them? And it takes strength in that woman to be able to hold up that man, right? I get that you don't look at it as something that you want to be a characteristic of who you are, but just being a Black woman, no matter what your situation is in this planet, is strength. And because I say that because I think Black women are the most disrespected species on this planet.
Completely agree with you.
Just to be that, and I know what you're saying, I shouldn't have to, right? And you shouldn't. You should not. And unfortunately, a lot of that disrespect comes from us as men, Black men, right? And I get all of that, but you are, right? And that's me, what I want in a woman, because I got a lot of stuff with me some of the time, that strength of me being able to come to my woman and talk to her is going to help me. Women, I don't think you women understand what we are as men is because of women. I think I look good because a woman, may it be my mother, my sister, the girlfriends I had, they told me I look good. So I don't think women understand the role that they play in propping us up as men. And your strength as a woman is what helps us be even stronger than what we may have believed we are. That's just my feeling.
I love
it. Oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. I was going to close.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that we are still, as Black women, searching for a balance in that, because then you talking about, you know, these men that can be a little bit effeminate because of the mother relationship, and now you have a woman trying to fill in the gaps and the balances with that. So to me, when I say that, I grew up with the two parents. I saw the difference in the strength and things like that, but I don't think that that should be my description of who I am as a person. Like, I can be all those things to my man, but I also want to be feminine. I also want to show him that I
don't let
need
that to be
him.
the overarching thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't want that to be my full characteristic, because then we have a power struggle that's going on, because now I have the perception that I need to be strong all the time. I'm not saying that strength is a bad thing. I'm saying that sometimes it's so overutilized when it comes to describe Black women that we're seen as hard and unapproachable, and we have no vulnerabilities, and we don't feel pain, and we don't suffer. So I think that when we do get vulnerable and we do have those moments where we're struggling, we're told to suck it up like men are.
Yeah.
Be strong. You should be strong. You're a strong Black
angry.
woman. Yes.
You shouldn't have that reaction.
Yeah, it comes from that point where, you know, long years ago, they didn't feel like Black women felt pain and like physical
in the medical
pain
field, right?
in the medical field. So I think that we still struggle with that. And now it's just called strong. Like, you should be strong. You can survive everything. A lot of Black men feel like Black women are so strong that they can treat them any kind of way and they'll be fine. Like, I can disrespect you. I can cheat on you. I can drag you for filth because you're strong. You're
resilient, so you'll come back.
Yes.
Wow. You like that little thing we used to punch in as a kid, and it would like pop back up.
Yeah, and it popped back up.
She popped back up though. She popped back up.
She always gets up because she's strong, and we bleeding. We got wounds, and we bleeding, and we're battered.
All the seams are busted, and the thing is like wilted, but she got back up though.
But she got back up, and she's strong.
She came up with strength. She
power through, boo. Power through. No, the devil is.
I want to give Jerome kudos for being strong enough to deal with 3 strong Black women on this panel on this good Sunday.
I ain't scared of nobody.
Look, Jerome K, right?
I ain't scared of nobody.
Yes. So
I love y'all, but I ain't scared.
I love that. I love these conversations, and I feel like, you know, mine is just a little drop. My little channel's a little drop in the bucket, but I do feel like we make a little bit of headway each week, and each conversation that we have in the group, my beautiful group that I allude to all the time. But I think it's awesome. I think everything starts with conversations. Everything starts with conversations, whether it's politics, whether it's war, whatever, it starts with conversation. And so I'm very honored to have you guys here having the conversation with me. So thank you guys for joining me. I know it's super late for you guys on the East Coast. I'm going to wrap this up, but I wanted to say thank you before we do, and I appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Have a blessed night.
Thank you so much. All right, YouTube. So I want to let you guys know that we have been getting consistent viewership each week, and it's been pretty cool to see the numbers rise. This means that I'm going to be opening up opportunities for promotion. If we have any business owners who are watching this channel, watching this video, and you would like to advertise, there are opportunities available. Just send me a DM on Instagram. You can find my Instagram link in the description down below. Just make sure that you start the message with Sunday Night Live so that I don't send you to the abyss, the black hole. But if you want to have an opportunity to get information about that, you can do so. I feel like I got the church bulletins over here. Excuse me. I also wanted to give you guys some information. Let's see. I'm still trying to learn these little control panels, you guys. So just bear with me, okay? If you guys would like to join my Patreon, you can do so using this link below here. It's patreon.com/Yonci. And basically what it does, it allows, I'll use the church lingo. Folks is so into my ministry. I am really trying hard. I'm doing this full time. I'm doing social media, and I do my best to bring you guys good content every single week. And so I am super grateful for the people who pledge their support every month and do that. I do give content behind the scenes and little extra exclusive content that I post in there. But overall, it's just support for people who want to help me along the way with my brand and encourage me to keep going with their good coins. So the information there is there if you would like to, excuse me, utilize it. I also want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. If you haven't done so, now is a great time for you to do that. If you like this video and you share this video, it lets YouTube know that this is quality content that you enjoy. Therefore, they're going to show it to more people. So when we YouTubers say, please like and share, it's not for vanity. I really could care less whether there's 100 likes or 2 likes. It's to let YouTube know that this is something that they should share, and there's algorithms set in place for that. So if you could take a moment to like it, that would be great. Comments are really helpful. I prefer comments more because comments let me know what you guys enjoy. So all of you who have commented on this tonight, it's very helpful. It lets me kind of gauge where everybody is at, if they're enjoying things, what have you. Just like I said every time, imagine standing in front of an audience and not being able to see them and there being a curtain in front of them. It's weird when you can't see their laughter or their expressions or what have you, or hear the ovation. So that's my way of finding out what's happening with everybody. So if you could do that, that would be amazing. Anything else, if you guys hit the notification bell, it will alert you before the videos drop, and you'll know you won't miss any videos that are live because it'll let you know ahead of time. That's about it for now, you guys. As always, like I say, tell somebody that you love them. And I'm going to close out here. I hope to see you guys next Sunday, same time, same place, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 Central, and 10 Eastern. It was a little late. I had to do my math there. But I hope to see you next time, you guys. Tell someone that you love them.